Test. Hello, sound test. Okay. Hello, everybody. Apologies for the amount of silence. We've been talking for the last 5 minutes and we didn't realise that there was no commentary coming through. Welcome, belatedly, to round 2 here at the GPVWC 2016 Super Cup. I'm James, on cam is Ben, and Sam's with me as well. And we've had a fascinating session. Back of the grid penalties are happening. So far, all you need to know at home with a minute left is the man on provisional pole position is the man who is in P2 currently. That is Risto Capit on a 1:39.2. Sam, Bahrain, fun circuit?
Absolutely, Bahrain's a fantastic track. I really like it. We've had some great racing over the years in Bahrain. It's got lots of straights and lots of heavy braking corners to make some fantastic overtaking. And with the reduction in the amount of dirty air following events at Melbourne, I think we're in for some exciting racing here today.
I love how we were able to cover every single topic that we just covered in the last 5 minutes, in the case of a minute. So yeah, basically, a lot of people have got back of the grid penalties. If you don't have a back of the grid penalty going into this qualifying session, you're guaranteed a top 10 start for today. That is how bad the situation is. And basically we were saying as well, we hope that turn 1 will be a lot better than what we've seen last week, and indeed what we saw in the Formula Challenge this week. A lot of people need to clean up their acts, and turn 1's a tricky corner to get through, Sam, and especially with that almost like falling back in on itself with turn 2 and then turn 3 again. The drivers are going to have to be very careful, and I imagine those who are getting the massive benefits from those back of the grid penalties, starting further up than perhaps they would have expected, will be loving what's going on.
Yeah, certainly. Turn 1 is horrible in terms of how tight the corner is. You really have to put on full lock just to get round. And turn 2, it's very easy to get the car loose because the track effectively dips down to the apex, and it's easy to spear off left as well. So it's understandable that there were crashes, but some drivers yesterday were just going in too hot and too disrespectful really into the corners, and perhaps that needs a bit more looking into. A lot of drivers have already bailed out of this qualifying session right now and returned to the pits. There's still a few guys going around, but it looks like Risto Capit is probably not going to be challenged for his provisional pole in second position right now.
No, indeed. It was his teammate Francic who took pole position last time out. And the man who has officially taken pole position has actually just come across the line. Sven de Vries, 139.047 from the American. So he takes his first technical pole position of the year. He will not be keeping that, though, however. Edgar Ruiz in second also won't be keeping that. As Sam rightly says, it's actually Risto Capit, the first of the people without a back of the grid penalty, I should say, who will be will have pole position. Just having a look, we've got Danny Asbury still to go on the lap. Francic has just completed his lap. He doesn't really matter. Neither does Asbury, to be honest, either. Neither does Paolini, neither does Riera. So the man who will be starting on pole position will be Risto Capit. Second place will be Jason Muscat. Third will be Eric Strana. And fourth will be race 2 winner from last time out, Scott Beresford. So that's your top 4. And really until the grid is all rejumbled after all the back of the grid penalties, I don't really think there is much more that could be done about that.
No, it's going to be very confusing. I'm assuming that because everyone gets their back of the grids, that effectively, if you qualified ahead of someone that also had a back of the grid, you'll start ahead of them. So De Vries should be the starting driver from all the drivers that did get a penalty, if you understood what I just said there in very poor English.
Yeah.
I believe that's the case. I'm pretty certain it is. It looked like that was the way last night in Formula Challenge as well, which we had a similar circumstances, quite a few penalties dished out, not as many as we have here today. I don't think this is going to be a feature of the season though, because I'll be surprised if many people got any kind of corner cutting penalties from last night's qualifying session. It's a much harder track to cut corners on.
People find a way, Sam.
They
always do. And but I'd just like to point out actually just how close this session was. I was keeping an eye on a driver who's just come in for this round after being filled in for last round, Tulikas, because he was up on his time, lost a lot of time over the lap though, complaining about temperatures in the post session as well. He got a 39.9, which is within a second, and he ended up P19 overall. So so top 20 there, covered by a second, incredibly close.
That's really impressive. I know a few people were saying that potentially with the move to R Factor 2, and it is more difficult, I'd say, as a mod, as a game than R Factor 1 was, that perhaps the field spread would be quite severe and we'd see, the likes of 5 to 6 seconds between everyone in the field. But luckily that hasn't been the case, and everyone seems to be pretty close. Just as they were last year, it was very close as well. So this year is looking to be as close, if not a little bit closer.
Yeah, indeed. So, yeah, people just going over how much they're liking the change to the dirty air as well. So just to go over that very briefly again, Lewis was talking about percentages and stuff with Formula Challenge. Basically, a good chunk of the dirty air was removed from the Formula Challenge car. About half of what was taken away from the Formula Challenge car was taken away from the Supercup car, and people are absolutely loving the changes. They think it's a very positive thing, and hopefully we'll be able to see even better racing than we did last time, because it wasn't bad racing necessarily. Definitely much better than Formula Challenge was the first round. But you could just tell that it was a bit too difficult for people to pass naturally. And so hopefully we won't have that sort of problem here today, and indeed for the next 17 rounds of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a drive around last night in Formula Challenge, and unfortunately didn't get behind that many people because I was one of those caught up in the first corner melee in both races, because some people like to stick it in a bit too hot on the first lap and not really pay attention to what's going on or those around them. And but I did notice that you could drive behind people, and especially through the faster corners as well, because that's where people were really losing out in Melbourne, especially through the middle sector. That was really costing a lot of drivers. It was effectively, you get within about half a second to a second, you'd hit this wall and it would push you back a second over the course of the lap, and you'd have to make the ground up again inevitably to hit the same wall. So unless you were, say, 1.5 to 2 seconds faster than the guy ahead, it was extremely difficult to overtake. But thankfully today and yesterday, I'm sure it's going to be a different story.
Hot, sticky things are generally a sign that you should be running away from something, unless it's sticky toffee pudding. I'd highly recommend that to anyone who hasn't tried it before. I know we've got plenty of European people in today. Let's talk about teams and driver championships, though, because we did have post-race penalties as well, not just qualifying penalties. So in the driver standings, currently led by Lars Brugman. He leads on 38 points, 7 ahead of Scott Beresford and Adrian Holm. The reason why Beresford is ahead of Holm, they're on the same points. Beresford, of course, took that race to win. Sven de Vries is then 4th on 29, and Niels Brugman is P5 on 26. And actually, Adrian Holm gave Lewis McGlade, who then gave me a wonderful new nickname for their team. So instead of Team Proline, it's Team Broline, which I think is absolutely genius. And I'm also going to stop saying variety from now on. I'm just going to say Lars or Niels, and hopefully people will get what I mean. In terms of the Teams Championship, there was actually a bit of changing about there. Basically, it was Risto Capit who got a penalty. He moves out of the top 5 in the driver standings, and it means that there's been a slight rejigging of the order in the teams as well. So Team Proline leads on 64. It's a nice healthy amount that they've got over Street Fighter now as well, who are on 41. Satellite Racing definitively in 3rd position now on 34, and then it's very close behind Simtech Enterprise GP and Go Sport International, both on 31 points. Again, Enterprise ahead because they have Beresford's win to their name. Then it's actually quite a way back to Multiforce GP in 6th. So it's great to see so many drivers scoring. Great to see a nice closeness in the championship. But tell you what, Team Proline looking pretty solid actually after that first round, Sam. The two brothers working well together. It's just a shame that they've both got back of the grid penalties for today.
Absolutely. I think they were the pick of quite a few people before the season to be the teams champions for this year.
Included.
Yes, it's they've got a very strong lineup in the two guys. Lars, I'd probably say is typically known to be a little bit better than his brother, but Niels has done a fantastic job so far as well, and perhaps just kind of lacking in being able to get through traffic as Lars did in the first round. I noticed that Niels struggled a little bit more to get past other cars, but we'll see what happens. Of course, new dirty air physics, as we've already covered, and they both got a bit of a job on today. It's gonna be like a race 2 format in both races today, in terms of quicker guys nearer the back or in the midfield anyway, having to come through and cut through the field against some of the drivers that perhaps aren't quite as quick as them. And of course, it's going to be in a feature race as well, with a pit stop also in race 1. So it's going to be very, very exciting to see in such a long race scenario what's going to happen.
Yeah, of course, if you did miss the Formula Challenge broadcast from last night, you can always head on over to the GPVWC YouTube page and catch up on all your action. I believe that the Open Series broadcast is there as well. And it was Koenig versus Grech for the first race win in the evening, wasn't it? I know, and both of them actually acquitted themselves to the job of battling for the lead very, very nicely, and Greg ultimately taking that victory. Just shows when you're in the right place at the right time. If life gives you lemons, then you make lemonade, and we've certainly seen that in Supercup already as well. With the likes of Beresford back in FC, I think Carlos Fernandez has now taken 2 race 2 wins, capitalizing on his position. It's a shame that we don't really get to see that sort of heroics in Super League, or maybe we will, because there's been a whole host of back of the grid penalties, or bog penalties as we're now shortening them to. There's been a whole host of them in Super League as well, so maybe there'll be an unexpected winner there as well, which is why you should tune into all broadcasts, because they're all amazing, and racing is racing. You never quite truly know what is going to happen until it actually does.
Except for the guaranteed turn 1 crash.
Oh, let's hope, shall we? Let's hope not, rather, that doesn't happen.
I was hopeful for Bahrain, because it's much more open. I know it's so tight in turn 1 and 2, as we've already covered, but you never know. Drivers might just calm down a little bit, and I think it really has to be kind of the league as a whole, in terms of all the drivers just need to come together and say, look guys, it's our fault that we're causing these crashes. We all just need to calm down a little bit in the first couple of corners, because it's not fair when you destroy 10 people's races or more. Like yesterday, it was a case of quite a few drivers all getting smashed up and front wings flying all over the place. It looked quite spectacular, to say the least. But what also looks quite spectacular is, or not looking spectacular, is the fact that the Go Sport livery isn't on show today. I'm quite disappointed about. I can't see the Go Sport livery.
Yeah, for some reason it hasn't been put in the mod yet. So, well, it's a shame, but actually, yeah, I think it is your mic which is picking up my sound a little bit, Sam.
Okay.
So maybe turn me down a little bit.
Yeah.
But yes, in any case, you can definitely spot it in the night lights here, that's for sure. And hopefully we'll see the Go Sport International in its all its glory next time out at Sochi, which is actually going to be quite exciting, because that's the first time we have been there at Cup. And I do apologise, by the way, if I do ever cut out during this evening, or if I just flat out stop. My internet has not been the best in the last couple of weeks after the first broadcast. So be sure to be diligent and step in for me, Sam, if you don't get a single response out to me.
Yeah, certainly there's a little bit there, but it should be fine. But yes, we've only got 57 seconds left of this warm-up, so everything's gone quite quickly today, hasn't it? And the drivers, only about half the field have put any lap times in. I did wonder if anyone was just going to go out and do a bit of race simulation running in qualifying, considering the amount of back of the grids coming up. It'll be interesting to see what people have done to prepare. And the field is being set now, so 27 drivers, Mark Fuller at the back I can see. And I think we're starting to get an idea of where everyone is going to be on the grid.
Late injury news. Lewis McGlade has cut himself on a staple. And
what are you doing with a staple in a race day?
Scott Beresford's asking why he's got a staple on his wheel. And I'm tempted to ask the same questions. Lewis McGlade, as our timer ticks over to 0. And hopefully, no one will get kicked from the server. We can all go over nicely. No one's HDR will be thingied and stuff. And oh, actually, that is something's just come to mind. We are testing a brand new anti-cheat law at the league here today. It is certainly there, and it's a good move towards ensuring that the league is even fairer than ever.
Yes, we've had it over the years, haven't we?
With our RF scan.
Effectively a system, yes. And hopefully that's going to be there again today.
I think it's Simracing Tools is the new one that we are testing. I repeat again, not mandatory, so don't expect any sort of post-race penalties because they haven't handed in any files or anything, but we're just testing to see whether it works well, if the files are all recorded properly, they're received properly on the league's end, and if all things go to plan, then I imagine a very swift implementation of a rule which states that you have to use it over the course of a race evening. So everybody then wishing each other good luck, have fun, and most importantly, keep calm and don't crash into other people at the first corner. There's been a lot of commentators who've been very vocal about that, mostly myself and Lewis McGlade. But, you know, it needs to be said. People need to smarten up in R Factor 2, that much is for sure. And someone is messaging me. It won't let me set push to talk for some reason. Well, Sam, you can just... you can just talk. It's fine. And as Chris Williamson has just sent us into the next session, and we have a full idea of what the grid is like. And it is indeed the top 9 who were without back of the grid penalties, all promoted up into the top 9. And Sven de Vries, the man who took pole position, will start P10, which all things considered really isn't that bad.
No, it certainly isn't. That is interesting. Then Mark Wicks in 9th position, and then you have the rest of the field after that, with Sven de Vries right there as the field starts to pull away. So it's going to be interesting to see what the likes of Capit, Muscat and Strana can really do from this grid, because they've got to get away before any of the guys behind them, who may or may not be faster, could catch up.
So it is Capit, Muscat, Strana, 1, 2, 3. And they are followed by the 2 Enterprises and an ice cold in between them. So it's Beresford 4th, Olsen 5th, and Tulacar 6th. We then have Marcel Router for Evolution 7th, with Maurice Bracan in the single Fox here today, P8. Mark Wicks will be in dizzying heights up in P9. And Sven de Vries, our pole sitter, or our pole position achiever, I should say in this case, rounds out the top 10 for Satellite. We then have Edgar Ruiz for TG, P11, with Danny Asbury for Go Sport, P12. His teammate Adrian Holm is behind him in P13, with Lars Brugman, championship leader, all the way down in P14. Craig Baxter for Satellite is P15, with David Francic, P16 for Street Fighter. We then have Halini, P17 for Mazurek. Now Clont, P18 for Multiforce. Boya Milan, P19 for ST. And rounding up the top 20 is Niels Brugman in P20. We then have Dennis Jordan in P21 for Evolution, with Argenis Riera, the first of the racing team Strotons, so not looking good for them already. P22. We then have Andrew Waring for TG, very low down, P23. Ari Niemann in the first of the car Yala, so they're even further back, P24. With Team Toyka P25 for racing team Stroton. The staple injured Lewis McGlade is P26 for Kayala, and then rounding out the field in P27 is Mark Fuller for ST Racing, who I believe chose not to qualify, and a good reason for that as well. He not only had a back of the grid penalty, but he also had a 10th place grid penalty on top of that, so he was pretty much doomed to start there no matter what happened.
Yeah, you couldn't get much worse than that, could you? Having a penalty like that, but Mark Fuller's, I guess, got a bit of experience starting near the back, and he'll want to push on.
He can maybe avoid all the things, because Simon Smith started near the back in Formula Challenge, and he's up in points-paying positions.
Yeah, I think it was 12th, wasn't it? That was
he was at one point, he was briefly in 10th. Briefly. So I am told.
If you do that today, Fuller will basically be in the lead.
He would, yes. It would be an incredible achievement, that much is for sure. So everybody just lining up in their grid slots. We've got a very far angle here as we are about to begin race 1, a race of 33 laps here. I noticed that Jason Muscat's actually angled in at Risto Capit as well, so there's the potential that Muscat might be looking to go straight for the lead into turn 1. As we wait for the lights now. We got 1, we got 2, we got 3, we got 4, we've got 5, and under the desert moon we are racing. And it does look like a great start for Capit. It looks like a terrible start for Muscat. Both of the Enterprises have jumped Muscat already. Heading down into turn 1 then. Capit leads with Strana second. Olsen with a good start as well. Same with Beresford. Everyone all just about getting through. And you know what? That's a great start from everyone. Great start from everybody. No major issues or everything. Everyone's gotten through there nice and safe. So Ice Cold looking very good here, and Strana on the back of Cap already, really eager to try and attack that lead with Beres at 4th. Muscat down to 5th after all that. Bracan up to 6th, a good start for him. De Vries also a good start, up to 8th. Same with Home as well, up to 9th. They're currently hounding the back of Right Tulicast into turn 8, and Home looking to go around the outside of De Vries at this early stage. Unable to do it. He's ushered out to the side. Who hasn't had the best of starts though? Danny Asbury, that is for sure. He is down in P25. Boy Milan in P27, as well as Right Tulicast is under a lot of pressure from Sven De Vries, the Estonian on the outside. De Vries is passed on the straight, and Tulicast's quali pace didn't look that good, and it looks like his race pace is suffering a bit as well. So Tulicast down to 8th. That's a good move from De Vries into 7th through turn 11. Meanwhile, back up the front, Risto Capit still leading, still holding the gap to Strana. Olsen, Beresford are there in close pursuit as well. Muscat seems to have broken away a little from Bracan after that incredibly slow start. And it's, oh wow, that's a bit of a sideways moment for Tulicast out of there as well. And an eventful first lap for him. He's going to be under all sorts of pressure from Home around into turn 14. And can the Swede take him around the outside? No, he can't. And yep, we will just have to go back to that one a little bit later. But at the end of the lap 1 then, it's Capu who leads from Strana, Olsen, Beresford, Muscat, Bracan, De Vries, Tulicast, Holm and Ruith in close pursuit.
Yeah, it's absolutely great to see that kind of start there. I think there was only
one. Oh my god, 4 wide!
Decision.
4 wide into turn 1, sorry, between Tulicast and everyone. Tulicast able to survive that assault. And Holm almost taken by Ruith there. My word, that was a close stuff. Lars Brugman involved in that as well. Sorry to crush you there.
They all managed to shuffle themselves out, and now Ruiz is on the outside of Holm, going up the hill, and wow, they've all sorted themselves out again. It's very, very close racing here for the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th for Frantic, and even Niels Brugman in 14th is not too far away. Holm is looking up the inside again, and a slight bit of contact there, but both drivers just about get away with it, and both remain in their respective positions as well.
It's very tight racing here, isn't it? And all this will be helping too. And look at the train behind Ruiz. How far does that go down? I'd argue pretty much down to P14 there. And Niels Brugman providing a real bottle cork here, Ruiz, which is bizarre given that he qualified P2. But it looks like Holm and Brugman behind him are really trying to turn the cork here, and Tulicast is just allowed to run away as Jason Muscat there, now under all sorts of pressure from Sven De Vries. The Americans having a blinder of a first 2 laps here.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible to already be up in 6th position and challenging for 5th position as well. Sven De Vries is certainly getting down to business right now. Can he catch up? We'll have to wait and see, as Holm, I think, has gone a bit wide and he's lost a position down to 11th now. Lars Brugman has got past, and he's going to drop another to Mark Sauerauter as well down the main straight towards the pits. I think something's happening up ahead. Sven De Vries is also
De Vries'
position from Jason Muscat, so another position again for De Vries, and Holm actually regains his 11th position into turn 1.
There's a real nice move from De Vries, nice and simple. Next on his agenda will be Scott Beresford, who's currently caught up behind Tobias Olsen. It seems that Capit and Strana have really left the rest of the field behind, and I think this is more the Strana that we were expecting to see. He'll be relying on his rear gunner here, Tobias Olsen, to keep the likes of Beresford, De Vries and Muscat behind. Maurice Bracan with a much improved race so far, up in P7 for Fox, the lone Fox, I remind you, in this race, with Tulicast 8th and Ruiz still 9th. But under all sorts of pressure from Lars Brugman in 10th now. Home 11th, out to 12th. Clont up into 13th. Good start for the Dutchman. Frantic 14th. And Brugman Niels this time, rounding out the top 15. No retirements so far, Sam.
No retirements. Quite a few scraps going on through the field. I saw Mark Wicks and Lewis McGlade battling it out for 20th position further down. And Lewis got a little bit sideways but recovered it well. And I don't think anyone's even lost a front wing. It's been
it's been incredibly clean, hasn't it?
Yeah, really impressive stuff by all these guys. Very impressive.
Really setting the standard, which is what I love to see. As I notice Craig going off there in the background at turn 13, the Scotsman back on the track in P17, but he's lost position to Andrew Waring there and is under a lot of pressure from the evolution of Dennis Jordan. The German unable to get past the Scotsman at this point in time, though up ahead David Frantic looking to get past Menno Clont, however. Up into P13, the Croatian on the Netherlands driver. And looking at that, Lars Brugman also involved, not able to get past Ruth ahead, but Francic breaks later. Unable to get past Menno Pontet this time, though. Nice defensive from the Dutchman.
Yeah, very good. Very, very good. He didn't completely defend the position, but just held his own and closed the door right at the important moment to hold on to that position. And Francic is actually coming under pressure a little bit from Niels Brugman right now from behind. So he's got to look forwards and backwards at the same time. Ruiz is still holding on to ninth as well from Lars Brugman. So really it's the two Pro Line guys that are trying to push forwards, as is Sven de Vries. He's all over the back of Scott Beresford for fourth position at this current moment in time. And the battle for the lead isn't too far away either. Eric Strana and Risto Capit, they're only about 0.4 of a second separating the two. So it's certainly not settled at the front yet.
I fear my internet may be laggy. Am I okay?
It's okay, it's okay.
That's okay, yeah. It's a little bit weird for me on track, but we shall do. Yeah, 0.4 gap between Strana and Capit, and I imagine it very much like with Melbourne Park, the strategy there. Is someone off there in the back? Yes, it's strategy's pretty, or the pit stop strategy, I should say, is rather key in this race, because Strana could look to try and undercut Capit. Maybe Capit will look to try and force the advantage his way. Either way, great to see such a close fight for the lead. And Strana here looking out. Strana with the lead dive. And Strana's through contact between the two. And Capit just about holds on now. But that was a warning shot if ever there was one.
Yeah, it certainly was. And Strana's still looking again. Capit's going to have to go defensive now as they go up the hill to the right-hander. Strana's got a good line. He's got the momentum. Can he get out the corner well? Yes, look at that power.
What a great move.
Keeps it within track limits, and Strana takes the lead of this race. So I had a feeling that Capit was going to run and hide in this race, but Strana's proved me wrong. And behind now, Olsen, Beresford and De Vries are all battling it out for third position. I thought someone was going to make a move there. It's extremely close right now. This is fantastic racing.
P8 as well is flaring up. Ruithman and Home have all caught up to Tuulakast now. And the Estonian can be under a lot of heavy pressure there as well. But we will keep an eye then on this battle for P3. This is the battle for the podium. Olsen, Beresford, De Vries and Muscat not too far behind either. It looks like Olsen starting to really struggle now. A little bit of a light up of the tyres there through turn 11. And through turn 12 we go. Look how all over the back Scott Beresford is. And with Sven de Vries behind as well, I think Scott will be looking to get the move done sooner rather than later, as Olsen there goes slightly off the track onto the curbing.
Oh, no.
Well, oh, that's contact! And that was, oh, well, I don't know what to make of that. It looked to me like, Sven de Vries just completely didn't realise what was going on. And Beresford's lost his front or rear wing, so he's as good as out of this race.
Yeah, I'm just going to have a look at that again. Beresford was right on the back.
What went on there?
De Vries just caught him. He tried to switch to the inside and then go to the outside of Beresford and just got way too close to his rear wing there and just misjudged it slightly, and unfortunately that's really cost Beresford any chance of a decent result here today, and potentially ruined his race too as well. Huge shame, and it was going to be such a good battle between the two, but De Vries has actually got past Olsen now, so up into third place goes De Vries with just a standard up the inside move into turn 4, so good effort by De Vries. Well, after the contact that wasn't too great, he's at least improved his position with a nice clean pass, and now we'll see if he can catch up to the leading pair.
De Vries' fault or unavoidable?
I'd say De Vries. I wouldn't say it was malicious or anything by De Vries, but I think
no, of course not.
I think he just misjudged it, and he just didn't realise how close he was, and unfortunately caught Scott as he tried to switch back to the outside.
Something for the DC to look at anyway. For Olsen now, it's a question of whether you can hold on to a P4 there, because Jason Muscat is all over the back of the Swede, and I think Scott Beresford is going to try and soldier on here. In fact, I don't know whether it's... Oh, okay, so he's been in and out the pits, actually. So he's back in 27th, got his rear wing. We'll see whether he can't gain any positions for later in the race. Meanwhile, back in P7, right Tuulakast still holding on. This time it's Adrian Holm. He's been able to get past Edgar Ruiz here and is looking to take P7 away from Tuulakast now, who will be pretty eager to stay in those points positions, knowing that his teammate is well out of them.
Yeah, certainly, but he's having to really go defensive early on down this pit straight, and Holm has already got past, so that's great straight line speed by Holm. Probably also, of course, had the DRS as well, which is a component of this series. So Holm up into 7th. He was struggling a little bit at the start, but he's certainly making his way up the field now. And Lars Brugman is going very, very aggressive down the second straight on the track to get past Edgar Ruiz. He sticks it up the inside and just gets the position done. So yeah, another inside pass into turn 4. It seems to be a good place to overtake there, and Brugman gets the job done into 9th position as well. So he'll probably aim to get past Tulikas quickly and follow on with Holm.
Muscat's also gotten past Olsen to P4, and I tell you what, Olsen's starting to fall back a lot now because Maurice Brackham for Fox Racing right in on this battle as well. So the tyres on that ice-cold car could be starting to scream a little bit, and I noticed behind Tulikas under pressure from Brugman and Ruiz again as well. I'm thinking that overtake with Tulikas and Holm might have been a combination between Holm's wings and perhaps Tulikas going with a downforce heavy setup. I mean, it certainly looked very effective, plus the DRS as well. It just looked effortless from the Swede.
Yeah, this is really the first time that we're seeing the DRS taking any effect, isn't it?
Because wearing out, sorry.
He was down in about 20th, wasn't he? No, 15th, 16th, I think he was. That's a shame. That's a shame for wearing.
Looking at this, let's have a look. Oh, how weird. So he was on the outside of turn 4 trying to get past Baxter and just lost it to the wall, and out he goes.
Oh yeah, he's trying to rejoin the track, wasn't he? And unfortunately it didn't quite pay off. I think there might have been another spinner around here somewhere near the back as well, but it's all a little bit insignificant, I guess, at the moment. As
Brugman's past Tulikas, sorry, as well in the battle for 8th and 9th. But I'm actually looking up at P2 now as well, and De Vries is right with Pitt.
He's caught up fantastically well, hasn't he? That's basically about 1.5 seconds. He's taken out the top 2 in 2 laps. So De Vries is on a charge and potentially the fastest guy on track at this current moment in time.
The one cloud over him, though, would be that Beresford incident.
Yes, which is I wouldn't say surely going to give him a penalty because it's not for us to judge, but
no, it's a possibility of it for sure.
Yeah, I'd certainly be looking at the fact that he could be, I'd say probably 70% likely to get a penalty, in my opinion.
That's very accurate.
Anyway. There's always got to be a bit of doubt.
But you know what, for De Vries here, even if he has in the back of his mind that he might get a penalty, his number one priority then would be to try and gain as much time on the rest of the field as possible. And the best place where you're going to gain time on the rest of the field is in P1.
P1's always a place to be, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've seen that so far in the season as well, that usually the guy in P1 is able to either pull away or just manage to hold on to the lead. It seems to be very difficult to overtake the guy in first, as Olsen, I think, is having to defend from Bracken in 5th position down the pit straight towards turn 1. And there's a bit of contact between the two. A little bit loose there from Olsen as he comes out the corner. And we'll probably have to defend again going to turn 4.
Was behind as well. Ruiz just past Tulikas into turn 1 as well. Tulikas trying a fight back here, but I think his wing setup is far too high here. And indeed, going to turn 4! That was a very poor move. Thankfully, Ruiz able to hold on to that, but that has lost Tulikas a further position to Francic. And whereas he had a comfortable gap over Francic, he's now outside of the top 10.
Yeah, Francic into the top 10 promoted because of that incident. I think Tulikas was a little bit too opportunistic going into turn 4 and didn't really have a move on, but kept his nose in there anyway. Thankfully, both drivers are able to carry on, and we'll see if they can continue to battle later on, perhaps, as De Vries now is all over the back of Gristo Capit, and Capit himself has actually dropped off the back of Strana a little bit, so it looks like Strana could use this as a time to maybe pull away and just make a gap for himself before the one and only round of pit stops coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. I do wonder. I mean, these tyres can last an awful long time, as Maurice Brackham there looking down the inside of Olsen into turn 14. And this time the German gets the job done. We'll see whether Olsen can respond. But I do wonder, with the tyres being as durable as they are, Scott Beresford, he's been in and out the pits Could he possibly go to the end on this set of tyres?
I after watching Australia, I'd say yes. I actually would say yes, and at least in Formula Challenge anyway, the difference, the kind of rate that the tyres degraded in Bahrain compared to Melbourne was very similar. So I think he's got a good shout. He had some luck because this year, I wouldn't say luck, but fortune, because this year it's a lot quicker to get.
Sorry, I'm going to cut with you very quickly here because Holmes just gotten through on Lars Brugman, and these two are very close to Olsen and Bracan. Olsen able to hold on to his P5 for now. Sorry, keep going.
Yes, that's good for Holm, and he's really coming into this battle with Olsen, who's definitely got a train forming behind him. But yes, this year it's a lot less in terms of the time it takes to fix any kind of damage in the pits, as Holm is looking at Bracan again but can't quite make it. So the penalty really for losing a wing isn't quite as bad as it used to be, which I think in some respects is quite good, because we don't see drivers, half a second behind the entire field because of one bit of contact or going into the wall. So Beresford has certainly got a chance to make up some positions. Whether he'll get into any points paying positions, I think might be a little bit opportunistic.
Yes. It's all about damage limitation from here, that is for sure. As Risto Capit's still holding on from Sender Rees. And doing a decent job as the Estonian, not really under too much pressure. I think Sven de Vries is just biding his time. And notice Jason Muscat there as well in P4, holding on very nicely to the top three. So a podium for the Maltese drivers, not totally out of the question either, as de Vries here. Is he lining up Capit? No, he's going to stay behind once again. As Maurice Bracan, though, he is going to try and make his way past Olsen. And Olsen, going very deep into that corner, and that actually provides an opportunity for Holm, or it was an opportunity until Olsen went very wide there and has slipped a bit as well. Holmes surely able to get past, and Lars Brugman's been caught in the sandwich here. He's able to get past initially, though he dives up into turn 4, and that's very, very dangerous from Lars Brugman there. To be fair, he hasn't even made it stick on Holm, as Holm goes around the outside, and oh my word, still such close racing. They're side by side through this entire complex. Holm able to hold on, but Lars Brugman dives to the inside of turn 8, still unable to do anything. And how on earth Tobias Olsen managed to hold on to P6 after all of that is beggars belief.
And how they didn't make contact, because they were 3 wide into the corner. It wasn't like they were 3 wide down the straight. They were 3 wide going into the apex of the corner. And I think Olsen and Holm both kind of realised what was going on and kind of backed out a little bit. And Brugman went through, ran wide and dropped back. So he's got it all to do again and locked his tyre up as well. I noticed challenging Holm down at the bottom end of the track in turn 8. So he might have flat spotted himself a little bit there. And earlier on when I said opportunistic, I meant I didn't mean that at all. I got my words completely wrong.
It's fine. Further down the field, Niels Brugman has overtaken Wright Tulakar, so the Estonian now falling further down the field. Got a bit of a gap to Dennis Jordan though in P13, so a bit of a way to go there, as you've actually got a point on for the final, we've got a fight on for the final point, I should say, rather, and Danny Asbury there moving through on Craig Baxter to take that final point away from the Scotsman. As Adrian Holm further up, it's a double Go Sport move as Holm is up into P6, past Olsen.
That's good for Holm, and we'll see what he can do now against Bracan, who's only just down the road. But Olsen again is under pressure because here comes Brugman on the inside into turn 4, and Olsen brakes so late. Gets the car sideways because he's off the racing line. There's no grip out there, and Olsen has to relinquish the position. He drops down into 8th. Brugman, Lars Brugman, up into 7th position now. And Olsen's going to have to look into his mirrors again, I fear, because he's got Ruiv and Francic closing in on them fast.
I'm going to take us back up to the podium fight, though. The front 3 separated by a second, and Jason Muscat is closing in on them as well, I should say. You wonder why De Vries hasn't at least fired a warning shot here, and here he goes. He is firing a warning shot now. Up through turn 12 we go. Risto Capit under all sorts of pressure from the American. He is going to take a dive into turn 13. I thought it was suicide. Not for De Vries, though. He's up into P2. Now it's a question of whether Capit can retaliate.
Yeah, that's good effort by De Vries, and Capit is going to instantly look to the outside on the approach to turn 14. But De Vries knows he's got the position and actually switches back to the racing line before the corner. So very good awareness there by De Vries. A good bit of racecraft as well. I'd actually say that wasn't really a dive bomb either into turn 13.
No,
that was
no.
just a very good move, and we've seen it done before, both in sim racing and in real life, and De Vries has got the car in the right position at the right time and potentially caught Capit napping a little bit there. So De Vries is up to second, and we'll see if he can try and budge Strana from this first spot that he's held on for such a long time now under so much pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jason Muscat now with Capit. Again, he's one to watch out for, Muscat, especially as we head into the pit stop phase, which we imagine is going to be lap 15 to lap 25, somewhere around there. So we're nearing that stage. It's about 3 laps away. Bracan then in 5th, a very impressive 5th as well for Bracan, but he's got to be careful because Holm, Brugman and Ruiz is actually, they've all gotten past Olsen now and are catching very fast as David Francic as well in P10. Looking to get past the Swede as well, and I wonder whether his tyre management isn't perhaps the best. Niels Brugman 11th. Right to the cars, he's not really lost him a lot, Brugman there. And so the Estonian could be still in with a shout of a top 10 if he plays his cards right. Jordan 13th, Paolini 14th, Asbury now rounding out the top 15. Your one retirement from this race, I mind you, is Andrew Waring. And speaking of Scott Beresford and his attempts to get back up the order, he's actually battling away with Mark Fuller. So if he is going to go to the end, he still might not finish last at least.
Yeah, he can at least make it one position right now.
Sorry, it's Holmes past Bracan. I'm sorry, and Bracan's in 7th. What happened here? I think Bracan might have had a big error going up into turn 13, and it looks like what happened. Oh yeah, he had a massive tank slapper on the exit, and that's allowed both Holm and Brugman through, but back up to the lead. Sven de Vries is going for it now, and into turn 1 we go. Oh, ever so close, but De Vries squeezes past. Oh, Strider on the inside, and he's tagged him round. And we've seen that so many times. And there's been a big debate this week. I remember it was between, who was it? I think it was Johnson and Sousa Ferreira, I think, in Formula Challenge last time out, in the Formula Challenge yesterday. There's been a big debate. Who is at fault? The man who's on the inside or the man who's on the outside? In my opinion, if you're going to be on the outside with someone on the inside, you've got to give them the space. Not much Strana could do there, and De Vries is now down in 8th.
Yeah, I've looked at Strana and he just kisses the white line on the apex of turn 2. And really, if he was any further over, he would have hit the curb. And these curbs are unfortunately not too great here. They're a bit too high up, and it would have spat him into De Vries anyway and could have actually taken them both out. So I can't really blame Strana there. Perhaps De Vries could just have given him, maybe a foot more just to work with there, and he probably would have got the position going into turn 4 anyway. So perhaps not the best of moves by De Vries, and he's going to have some flat spots and he's got a lot of traffic in front of him, but he can still try and catch up.
And as Marcel Rauter, unfortunately, becomes our second retirement of the day, look who that has brought into play. Jason Muscat now only 3/10 off the lead and getting closer by the second.
I think Strana's felt it, hasn't he? He really had to slam the brakes on there when there was contact between himself and De Vries. And he's certainly lost a bit of confidence, you'd have to say, in this lap just gone. It hasn't been a great lap for him, but of course we know what happened in turn 1 and 2. And Muscat's actually going to the inside. He's taken the inside into turn 1, got the move done. And yeah, look at that through turn 2, clearly ahead. Strana tries to take a nice wide line to gain the momentum. He's actually going to try and come back. So Muscat, is he going to defend into turn 4? No, he's not. So Strana's just going to stick it up his inside. Strana takes it up the inside of turn 4. Runs a bit wide, and Muscat actually comes back, takes the position back, and surely now Muscat has got the lead of this race.
And there's been drama behind as well while all of this was going on between Brugman and Holm. And it was through turn 2, and it looked like, oh yeah, Brugman just got onto the outside rear curb of turn 3 and spun into Holm. The two of them dropping a load of positions. Holm now in P11 and Brugman outside of the points. That's our championship leader.
Wow.
It's all kicking off.
It really is. This has been such a fantastic race so far, and we're only 14 laps into 33 laps of this race. We're not even halfway. And you know who that helped out as well? That's helped out Sven de Vries, because suddenly he finds himself in 5th position again, all over the back of Bracken and nearly running him over, going through, I think that was turn 11, sorry. And yeah, really battling away his de Vries, but he could find his way back into the top 4 soon enough. And then there's quite a gap to himself and Cabot, who's just looked a little bit off. in terms of the leaders' pace, but the two leaders are still quite close together. Strana hasn't given up on this fight yet either.
No, still only 4/10 away from Muscat, and in the slipstream as well. Remind you, it's a second, just like in Formula 1, which you have to be behind the driver. That is someone into the pits. Who is that? That is Maurice Bracan, and that is David Francic as well. They are the first to pit, as Strana got close, but not close enough. Adrian Holm into the pits as well, and considering the sort of incident that he just had, I imagine that would be for the new tyres ASAP. That's Lars Brugman in as well, yeah. With the incident they both had, that would have wrecked the tyres. And probably a good decision to come in now while they have the opportunity to still gain some time overall.
Yeah, certainly.
Look back at the front. Sorry. Strana's all over the back of Muscat still. The battle for the lead is still on, very much so.
It's certainly, I think Strana's regained any kind of confidence he might have lost in the earlier couple of laps after that touch with himself and De Vries, and he's really taken the fight to Muscat now. Just taking lines perfectly. Look, you can see that you can run behind drivers now in this so-called dirty air. It's really good to see, and Strana's now got a good run on Muscat going up towards turn 11, but just holds back. It would have been quite a brave and maybe foolish move to try and dive in there. So Strana knows he can just sit behind Muscat now and potentially get him into turn 1 or turn 4, which have been the favoured overtaking spots for most of these drivers. It's certainly a good battle for the lead. Capit's a little bit further away, and De Vries is starting to reel them back in now that he has been released.
Bracan, the first of the pitters then in terms of order, back out into P16. That is how close affairs are as they stand. Muscat and Strana go on for another lap, as does Risto Capit as well. Sven De Vries now released into 4th, goes round again, as does Ruiz. But Niels Brugman is into the pits, as is Dino Paolini as well. As we got battle for the lead still, and Eric Strana looking all over the back of Muscat. Unable to still do anything, though. The Maltese driver is holding on firmly.
Yeah, Strana actually caught Muscat up so much into turn 1. I think he surprised himself, and he's actually looking on the inside of Muscat into turn 4, but not quite there. But into turn 1, he surprised himself so much by the rate that he caught Muscat that he nearly stuck it in the back of him in the braking zone and just managed to wiggle his way to the outside and recovered it well. That was a quite impressive little recovery from Strana. But yeah, it's certainly not over, and Capit is looking on in the background as well. I'm feeling like he's starting to reel these guys in as well.
The question is, when do you want to perform the undercutters? Holm is back into P13. I noticed, yeah, Bracan's up into P10 now, so a lot of people have chosen this stage to pit. And looking up on Beresford watch, he's only P24 still, so I think he's going to have to require a couple more retirements to move up the order. But we're certainly more interested in this battle for the lead, though. This is where the points are being had, and big points at that. Strana has been all over the back of Jason Muscat for the past 3 laps or so. And you might just argue, wouldn't it be worth Strana going into the pits now to try and undercut the Maltese driver? Because he doesn't seem to be able to get past no matter which way he tries.
Yeah, we really saw the benefit of pitting early in Melbourne. It certainly was the case that those pitted early came out ahead of the drive to back, and actually Muscat's going to take the pits first, so Strana stays out. He'll be released to try and do some fast laps, but Muscat comes in.
De Vries follows him as well. Ruiz goes on. Let's have a look. Tula, Carson, Olsen, both going on as well. Next will be Asbury and Clont before we get to Asbury in. Clont goes round, then Bracan is the first of our pitters. So we'll see what Bracan might or might not have gained on De Vries and Muscat. Muscat back out into P7. De Vries is still stationary. Bracan just coming down the pit stop. These two were close going in. De Vries comes out, and I tell you what, De Vries is actually ahead of Bracan. So De Vries with a good pit stop there, just covering off Bracan, probably a safe move.
Yeah, De Vries, of course, was right behind Bracan before Bracan took to the pit. So whether it was those fast laps that De Vries has just pumped in, we've seen how quick he has been today. And that's just allowed him to effectively leapfrog Bracan in the pit stops. And he's about 7 seconds behind Muscat, so he lost a little bit of time in comparison to Muscat in that pit stop phase. But he should come out in about a net 4th once this all plays itself out.
Talking of 4th here, right, Tulikas under all sorts of pressure from Olsen up into turn 11. And that's easily done from the Swedes. Tulikas tried to cut back. These two still have to pit, I remind you. But battling each other won't exactly help.
No, it certainly won't. Also, we've seen him kind of slide his way back down to the lower end of the top 10, but he's still fighting and made his way past Tulikis right there. These two, of course, as you said, have still got to pit, so we'll see if either of them decides to dive in now. Strana has it, Habit hasn't, Ruiz is in, and here comes Olsen and Tulikis, and Tulikis is the one to dive in.
Might be a safe move considering that he could undercut Olsen. We see where these guys all come out. And now Klont is in as well, which allows Jason Muscat to go free. Now that is going to be a crucial gap to look at between Strana and Muscat. 22.5 seconds, the gap between himself and Strana. I think it's pretty evident what Strana and Capit are trying to do. They're trying to jump Muscat in this time when they have free air. Will it work or will it not, though? That is the big question as Tulikas comes out of the pits and into P11 as well, only behind Holm. I reckon that Tulikas has gained a lot of time through that, actually. Just ahead of Paolini, though. Paolini's gained time through those pit stops as well. Klont comes out into P14, just ahead of Baxter. And Lars Brugman's down in P16, so the championship leader going into this round has a lot of work to do.
Yeah, he certainly has. Of course, he was much higher up as Baxter and Klont battle it out in front for the final points paying position, and Baxter just moves ahead of Klont, shuffles him out of the track there coming on the exit of turn 4, but gets the move done anyway. So Baxter into 14th, Klont down to 15th, and under pressure now from Brugman. Lars Brugman trying to look up the inside of him. Yes, with that incident earlier, it's really dropped him back down the grid, and it's not good for his championship challenge at the moment. He should probably be in about 5th or 6th with De Vries at this current time, but we'll see what he can do. He's got a fresh set of boots, and we'll just try and make his way. I think he can get quite a few of these guys ahead of him, and of course there's still a few guys yet to pit as the pit stop procedure still takes place. Of course, we saw quite a lot of diverse strategies in Melbourne, and so some guys really stayed out for a very long time. I think up to lap 22 we could see guys still out.
Olsen in there, Capit and Strana still going round, and the gap between Muscat has only come down in that time. So advantage Muscat for now. De Vries then back up into 4th, Ruiz 5th, Bracan 6th with Francic 7th, Niels Brugman into 8th. That's actually a very, very nice race so far. Holm 9th, and Olsen comes out into 10th, just ahead of Paolini, who's gotten past Tulikas in that time. And, well, neat little race from Paolini so far, I would say, actually, because he started outside of the points as well. Currently looking at a top 10 finish.
Yeah, and he made his pit stop a couple of laps ago, so he's got that done and out of the way. So Paolini been a bit quiet, hasn't he? I think probably because of his low starting position, but a clean race by the looks of it, and that's what we want to see as drivers come in and just keep their head down and get on with it. And that's a very nice little run he's had so far in this race, and we'll see if he can continue that. I'm just looking at the gap between Muscat and De Vries, and it's about 5 seconds, so De Vries has actually taken a couple of seconds out of Muscat so far in this run. So we'll see where De Vries comes out in comparison to Risto Capit, who was about 3 seconds behind Muscat before the pits.
Strana in, Capit continues round, so the Estonian looking to maximise his stint. He'll actually be probably the last person to pit on this track, which is fascinating to me, and we'll see whether it does pay off for him. But this is the gap which we're interested in. Strana versus Muscat. Muscat's actually gone on, he's onto the home straight now. Strana's just coming out of the pits now. It's going to be pretty close, I imagine. Strana's passed, he's free, and I tell you what, Strana has jumped Muscat. So that is excellent work here from the Swedish driver, but it is advantage Muscat in terms of how warm his tyres are and in what sorts of a groove he's in as well. And he is right back onto the Swede as we speak. It's now a question of how quickly, if at all, Muscat can actually get past Strana, because he's going to keep in mind that Capit's still going round a good 20 seconds ahead of these two.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be Muscat's advantage for this lap.
Paolini off as well, sorry. Paolini off into turn 2 here, sorry. And let's have a look. It was through turn 2, and oh, how strange. How strange, he came straight. He went through turn 2 ridiculously slowly, and I'm not sure what Olsen could have done there, to be very honest, and Paolini's out the points.
Curse to the commentators, isn't it, yeah. James? What have we done?
But yeah, that was an odd one. Paolini just lost all speed through turn 2, and Olsen really had nowhere to go.
Perhaps an issue with gearing or technical equipment. We won't be too sure about that. But yes, Muscat had the advantage in terms of tyre wear, in terms of tyre heat, I should say, against Strana for this lap, which is Strana's outlap of the pits. But unfortunately, the best two overtaken manoeuvre spots are in turn 1 and turn 4, and we've gone well past them by now. Muscat's still there, so this is effectively going to become the lead of the race as Capit comes into the pits, as Strana is going to have to defend from Muscat down the straight.
Yeah, Capit's going to be nowhere near these two. You can see the two of them actually. I'm on board with Capit. Actually, that's going to be pretty close. And Muscat's going for the lead while we're doing this. He's going to overtake the two cars in the pit stops, and Muscat is through on the lead once again. He goes a little deep into turn 1. He's going to recover that nicely into turn 2 as Francic overtakes Bracan there into turn 1 as well. Will Muscat be able to hold on to this lead though? Strana's got the inside line heading up to turn 4. The Swede brakes later. The Maltese driver tries to go around the outside. He's holding on, and Muscat's just about got a foot in here. But Strana all the way around the outside, but Muscat's cutting back.
Oh,
great defensive driving from Jason Muscat. He retakes this lead.
That is quite incredible there by Muscat. I did not see that coming at all. To see a car go around the outside of another effectively in turn 6 is just beyond the scope of physics. How is that even possible? I don't know how he did it, but Muscat managed to hold it on, and that is a well-deserved little battle. And it effectively was a 6-corner fight, and Muscat's come out on top, and fair play to him, because that was a fantastic little scrap between the two drivers. Well done to both of them for keeping it so clean as well. That is exactly what we want to see in Supercup, and I'm so happy about that. But of course it's not over, and I think this battle is going to continue to rage on.
Still possibly the best move of the race, so says Ben Willis, and I trust him. I trust him. He's got his eyes and ears everywhere. But as Sam rightly says, 11 more full laps Jason Muscat's got to try and hold on. Strana's not waiting around. In fact, DRS is nice and open. He goes to the very inside of the track, actually, not even going to let Jason Muscat come across, and he's already passed before they've hit the braking zone. Will Jason Muscat brake later, though, into turn 1? He's going to try! Very close between the two, but Strana is back through into turn 1, and watch out for Capit and watch out for De Vries. They are very close indeed.
Certainly as Muscat now looks to the inside of Strana up into turn 4. It's basically roles reversed this time around. Can Muscat get the position back? Oh, Strana's got the momentum around the outside. He runs a little bit wide, and Muscat's going to get the position back through turn 5 and into turn 6. So again, in that little battle, Muscat comes out on top. But this is so good. This is just perfect batting, and I can tell you, these drivers are showing you how you should drive and how you should race each other, because Strana, he could have cut Muscat off going into turn 1 because Muscat left his nose just there to make Strana's life difficult. But Strana knew he was there, gave him the room, and they both came out of it okay, and they're both still in this race and still in the hunt for first.
Behind as well, check this out for P9, Niels Brugman, Tobias Olsen, and Wright Tulikas. You can pretty much count Dennis Jordan in this battle as well, all battling away for P9 here, and this could be very crucial, Sam, because I remind you, if you're new here with Supercup, our sprint race has a reverse grid of a randomly generated number between 6 and 10, and 9 and 10 are within those parameters. So these are for big, big positions if luck swings a certain driver's way.
Certainly, this is going to be such a dogfight now, I think, between these 4, effectively, for 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. And of course, between the top 4 as well, it's mighty close. And I'm going to have to go back to Strana Muscat, because Strana down the pit straight is up the inside of Muscat once again, and he's got the move done thanks to DRS. You'd have to say he's got the move done into turn 1, but he's got to try and hold it now, keep his composure, gets a good line through 2 and 3, and that was critical right there, because Muscat's going to be on his tail. He's going to have the slipstream right now, and he could stick it back up the inside again into turn 4 like he did last time around, and he has done. Oh, there's a bit of contact between the two. Muscat just ran out of room potentially on the inside and just lost control of the car, but both of them have survived and both of them can carry on, but this time Strana comes out on top.
You just missed Wright Tulikas overtaking 2 cars into turn 1, and now it's 3 wide going into turn 4! Oh my goodness me! Well, Niels Brugman He spun round. I tell you, oh my goodness me, that's Baxter off into the wall as well.
Font's gone as well.
Niels Brugman, I don't know what he was thinking. He launched himself up the top on the inside of turn 4. Baxter out after flying off in the background. But it was suicidal going into 2 cars at once up in that corner. He spun round. He's down in P15. But right, Tulikas up in P9. He's the big benefactor, although Tobias Olsen, I think he'd be pretty eager to get that P9 back, but it means that there's one less car in this battle. My word, look how close they're getting as well. I realise that it's close up the top, and Capit's with them as well. But we'll just keep an eye on this moving to turn 11. Olsen makes it stick. He's up into P9. Back up to the lead, though. It's Strana, Muscat, and Capit, all within 0.6 of a second.
Yeah, it's so close. So here we go once again. DRS is going to be activated right where you see that spearhead platoon little board on the side, and Muscat's now got the DRS on Strana. Strana's gone defensive already. Muscat to the outside, and he's got the position done before the corner this time around. So Muscat's just going to have to hold it. Can he get a good line through too? Yes, he can. But Strana's going to be on his tail, and I think, James, once again, we're going to see another battle through turn 4, 5, and 6.
You know, turn 1 seems to be where the clean overtakes happen. Turn 4 is where you either see excellence or boldness / stupidity. For now, Strana is safe. But looking behind, oh my word, look at this. Look at this, Olsen, Jordan, and Tulikas. And Jordan's gotten past Olsen and Tulikas in that corner as well. It's really getting scrappy, and Paolini and Lars Brugman are going to get involved soon as well. Oh, wow. Tulikas around the outside of Olsen at turn 4. They're still going side by side up to turn 5 and 6. Olsen on the inside, Tulikas around the outside, and Olsen puts him off track, and well, it all had to end in tears, didn't it? Silly from Olsen, unfortunately. Tried to hold on where he couldn't. There's good rejoining from Tulikas, making sure everyone gets past. But it was all going to end in tears eventually, wasn't it? As Muscat's still just about holding on from Strana here. Capit and De Vries involved as well. This race has had everything, and I tell you what, as much good battling as there has been, there has also been a bit too much hot-headedness and a bit too much stupidity for my liking as well, because there's been so many moves throughout this race which have caused bad crashes.
Yeah, but I suppose one thing that's slightly different from, say, the Supercup of last year is it does seem to be that if you go for a silly move, you're going to pay the price a little bit as well, and we certainly saw that there with Olsen just kind of ran his competitor out to try. It's actually Holmsek. We've got Strana defending from Muscat on the inside into turn 1, and oh my god, Capit's right there, and he touches Muscat into turn 1 as well, and De Vries is also on this train. So this is so close now. None of these guys can get away from each other. It's very much a DRS kind of race where they're pulling themselves back into it through the DRS activation zones. And this is making for some fantastic racing. It's so hard to say it's that exciting.
And look at this. Lars Brugman's just passed Dino Paolini into P10. That could be pretty massive if number 10 is called on the reverse grid pole position for race 2 here. But look at this. A 4-way battle for the lead. I just hope, I am fingers crossing here, that they keep it calm and keep it cool. Because I would hate to see this battle, like with Scott Beresford and Sven de Vries before, ruined by just a complete lack of thinking. Because we've seen with the battle for P9 already, it can easily happen.
Yeah, certainly. We want to see this 4-way battle go until the end. And the way these drivers are driving, they certainly can make it go to the end. And Risto Capit looks to the inside of Muscat going into turn 13. He tried to do a De Vries, and oh my word, Muscat got loose on the outside of turn 13. Nearly speared off, but somehow saved it. But that's given Capit the momentum down into turn 14. He's got the inside line. He's going to try and outbrake Muscat, but can't quite do it. Has to slot back into third, and oh, that was Mark Philly up in the background. Yeah, just got out of the way. Luckily, didn't affect these guys' race.
But look at this now. Sven de Vries is going to try and do what so many people have done before and overtake 2 cars in 1. Capit's not got the straight line speed. He's had to go in behind Muscat and down to turn 1. It's 3 wide, and Muscat just about holding on to that P2, but Sven de Vries is past the Street Fighter, as that was an ST round at turn 1. My word, completely lost it under braking. This is all helping Strana though. Up into turn 4, De Vries brakes late, Muscat brakes a little later, tries to go around the outside, still holding on, and heading into turn 5 now. Can Muscat hold on still? Yes, he can. Good defensive move there from the Maltese driver, but he's under so much pressure now, And Strana is just focusing on putting the laps down. He leads by 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, this has been perfect for Strana. Suddenly, he finds himself in a league of his own, effectively. He's pulled away from these guys. Wait, 1.4 seconds doesn't sound like a lot, but in this race, that is a huge advantage that Strana's got right now. We haven't seen that for quite a while for any kind of race leader, as De Vries now is surely going to go and try and reclaim that second position that he lost when he came into contact with Strana earlier on in the race. And it's been a case of fighting his way through the field twice today for De Vries, and certainly taking some casualties along the way with him. But
I don't think that, even if he does get a podium, I'm not sure if he's going to keep it. So all of this battling could be irrelevant. We'll just, we have to wait and see, such as being the tumultuous nature of this Super Cup evening. But in order to finish on the podium, he first has to actually finish there full stop, because look at Risto Capit, still very close to the Estonian, although it looks like Sven De Vries is using that straight line speed to try and attack Jason Muscat ahead of him now into turn 1. I think that's an easy move for the American. He gets it done this time. He's up into P2.
Yep, good effort by De Vries. Pretty calm move, you'd have to say, at the end of all of that. That was just the way you have to get it done into turn 1, and De Vries is now going to try and set out for the leader, Eric Strana. But of course, he's going to have Muscat with the benefit of DRS and Capit as well behind him, so he's got to try and pull it out in this middle sector of the track, which I think he's pretty quick around. This is really where he seems to make up some of his time, so we'll see what happens now. I'd just like to point out as well, if nothing else is going on the track, that Edgar Ruiz has done a really solid job so far today. He's
really good.
He's slid down the order a little bit at the start, but he's come back into his own, and he's got himself into a solid 5th position all by himself, and not too far away from the leading quartet.
But most importantly for him, I think, 5 seconds away from 6th place.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's going to be challenged too much, does he?
And it's a great effort from Edgar so far. Qualified P2, remember, but had a back of the grid penalty. Looking very nice for the Spaniard overall, and in a strong position for race 2 as well. Adrian Home P6. Could be looking at a very good reverse grid position as well. Bracan 7th as well. Got to give a shout out to the Fox driver here. He benefited from the back of the grid penalties, and he's using that to effect over the race distance. Frančić 8th. Jordan in 9th as well. Shout out to Dennis Jordan, who did have a back of the grid penalty. Up there in P9. Then we got Brugman in 10th, but that 10th is not confirmed. Dino Paolini right on the back of him, as well as, what was that up ahead? Oh, it's a Muscat and Capit going side by side, contact between the two. Muscat desperately trying to hold on to this podium now. It's lap 29 to 33, not long to go now, but it seems like the fight in that Multiforce car might be giving up the ghost, as Muscat just about holding on from Capit. He just about slides and holds that. That was a wincing moment from me. It's very close. I can only see this being a match of time now before Capit rounds out the podium, at least provisionally.
Yeah, Muscat still got the fight in him though, and he's not going to give this up without a fight, that's for sure. He's certainly dropped off the back of De Vries now though, and you'd have to say that if it's going to be between anyone, it's going to be between Strana and De Vries for the win in this race today. Capit's got to find a way past Muscat if he wants to try and challenge, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Mark Fuller is out with a brake problem. But not out with a brake problem is Capit, who's looking all over the back of Muscat. It's very close from the Estonian, and he's looking, but he can't do anything just yet. Further back, Dennis Jordan just about holding on to P9. Lars Brugman and Dino Paolini very close to the German, and this could be the difference between pole position in race 2 and nothing at all. Then again, it could be a number which is less than 9, which is called out, in which case this would all be irrelevant, but just for points. But Lars Brugman, I tell you what, after the difficult day which he has had, which has included contact with Adrian Holm, to still score points is a good achievement for the Dutchman.
It certainly would be. We'll see what happens. He's actually very lucky, is Lars, to even be in this race, because when there was all that melee going on in turn 4 a few laps ago, there was actually a crash basically between Clont and Craig Baxter just behind Brugman, and both of them went to either side of Brugman. Brugman had to go a bit wide and somehow didn't get taken out and remained in the race. And now he's looking for P9 because he's gone to the outside of Dennis Jordan into turn 1.
Nice
with
move.
The DRS, he's got the move done under braking as well. and slots in, and he'll probably now start to pull away from Jordan and Paolini and cement himself in a potential pole position.
Pole position.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, his brother as well, Niels, is battling behind. Look at this. Boya Milan was P14. He's now been to P13, and Boya hasn't had the most exciting of races necessarily, nor has he had the best of starts to his Supercup career, but he's up there in P13 after starting near enough the back of the grid, and it would see ST score their first points of the season. That'd be pretty important for them.
Yeah, just a little thing in Boya Milan, or whatever he's called.
Boya
Milan. He was the only guy in the first lap to have any kind of issues. He just had like a small off-track excursion in turn 4 and 5, and dropped it down to the back of the grid. So to come back into 13th place from the very back at the end of lap 1 has been quite a good drive by him, and hopefully he can just keep it on the road for these final few laps.
It looks like Capit has gotten past Muscat. Well, how do we miss that? Well, it must have happened at some point. Capit has gotten past Muscat, and I'm not sure where. I'm going to just take a little look. I think it might... It was DRS into turn 1, so we're here. Sorry that we missed that, but Capit then is past Muscat into P3, and well, we'll see whether Muscat gets a podium post-race, but obviously would have liked to finish on the podium naturally anyway. Edgar Ruiz 5th, Adrian Holmes 6th, Maurice Bracken 7th, Francis 8th, Rowan 9th, and Dennis Jordan just about holding on from Dino Paolini. Will the Evolution driver hold on to it into turn 2? No, he won't. Dino Paolini dogged driving from the German. He overtakes his compatriot into turn 1, out of turn 2, and that for Mazurik is a job well done, and if it pays off for Paolini with a reverse grid pole position, he'll be very happy with that.
Yeah, that was a good little move by Paolini, and after that little spin he had just after his pit stop, he's been able to work his way back up and got himself into the top 10, so fair play for not bottling it under a spin like that and just giving up, or just doing another spin, which is so easy to do after you've done the first one. So Paolini's back into this now, and we'll see if he can catch Brugman. I think it might be a little bit too much for him.
A bit of a stretch, yeah.
Yeah, but still very good nonetheless to at least put himself inside the top 10.
Definitely still on his battle for P13, where Milan and Brugman are pretty close. And I noticed actually Asbury is closing in on these two as well. So the Go Sport International driver will be looking for his first point in the Super Cup this season. Might be looking for a couple more. He's lost Tulikas a bit there after Tulikas' contact with Olsen, who's now down in P19. So he must have had a further issue, Olsen. But Brugman and Milan looking very close indeed. I'm not sure. Well, look at that. Milan feeling the need to go ultra defensive on the inside line towards the final couple of corners. I think he's possibly got that position nailed down, though. I don't think there's really too much more that Niels Brugman can offer. There is something that Sven de Vries can offer, though. He's within a second of Eric Strana once again.
He certainly is. So he's reeled this gap back down. I keep using that phrase a bit too much, but de Vries has been doing low 40s for the last 4 laps. He actually did 40.5 on one of them, so slightly slow lap by de Vries, where Strana has been in the more like mid 40s, so fairly equal lap times. You'd have to say that de Vries is probably about 3 to 4 attempts faster in terms of some of his pace that he's done, but Strana's not too far away from that. But we'll have to see now whether those couple of tenths of a second are enough to allow de Vries to mount a challenge to Strana. We've already seen them battle once in this race, and it didn't end too well for de Vries, so this is really a redo of that, and we'll see if de Vries can just keep it a little bit cleaner this time and get them both home to the checkered flag. But in what order, we really don't know.
Yeah, as I say, there's so much for the DC to determine after this race. It's funny, I was hoping for so much after that clean lap 1, and then everything goes to bottle. Either way, final lap of the race, and I tell you what, it looks like de Vries has already got this. He's already passed. Into turn 1 we go. I mean, it looked effortless, didn't it? His straight line speed is extraordinary. And, well, we don't know whether de Vries will take the win here on track. To be fair, we don't even know whether Strana will be able to fight back. Look at this, Strana braking late around the outside of turn 4, unable to do anything. He's going to try and get the cut back though, Strana. He's definitely behind de Vries at this point. Going into 5, into 6. The Swede trying to apply the pressure, but I think De Vries actually should have this. It was so effortless. It didn't really even get me too hyped or anything. Plus, of course, like we say, we've got that potential DC decision to come, of course. But, well, De Vries has really shown his setup is king around here. He's come back, as you say, twice from incidents and really shown why he's still a championship contender for this year.
Yeah, certainly. De Vries is still not got it yet because Strana's all over the back of him and still looking, but maybe just took the wrong line there through turn 11 and potentially lost the little bit of ground that he made up on De Vries after getting overtaken. Here really in turn 13 was his best opportunity of an overtaking. I doubt he's really going to do too much into 14, but De Vries is he's trying to break the slipstream and he should hold on through this final corner.
Oh wow, Strana went for a little dive, maybe to scare De Vries off the road, but it's not going to work, so at least provisionally Sven De Vries takes race 1 win in Bahrain. He's celebrating as if he has taken that victory for sure. Strana second, very impressive effort from the Swede. Capek comes home third, just ahead of Jason Muscat. Good results for those two, and Muscat could still find himself on the podium. Adrian Holm, another silent impressive performance, P5. He actually got home ahead of Edgar Ruiz, who fell off near the end. He came on P6. Maurice Brackham, very impressive for Fox, P7. Francic P8 with Lars Brogman P9. Dino Paolini rounds out the top 10. Jordan 11th, Menno Klont 12th. Niels Brogman has gotten back past ahead of Boyan Milan. He'll take P13. Milan himself 14th. And right to Lacasse has taken P15 because something has happened to Danny Asbury. Oh dear, what has happened to Asbury here? I'm not entirely sure. I'm thinking he must have had an off somewhere though, because Asbury was nowhere near to Lacasse. Oh, there he was. Yeah, he turned in far too early for turn 11. Something's gone terribly wrong there into turn 11, and Lacasse has taken the final point. But anyway, there we are, your retirements from this race. Mark Fuller, Craig Baxter, Marcel Rauter, and Andrew Waring. So, overall, the less dirty air certainly helped battling. Great that everyone got through lap 1 okay, but my oh my, there was some excellent, yet also rather horrendous racing during that event.
I'd like to look at the excellent more than the horrendous. I really
of course, yeah, I agree with you.
There was some fantastic racing, and the people like Strana, I think he's just a fantastic driver, and he really showed he just had such a calm head and always just knows where people are around him, and that's what makes him such a great guy to watch race. He only picked up second here. I know we've got DC decision, whether that happens or not. That's not the point. He still finished second on the road. De Vries won it on the road and across the line, but Strana did had some fantastic little battles during the race. And I thought he was an excellent guy in terms to watch, and I'd have to actually give him my driver of race 1 there for just the way he just kept his head about him. I know he wasn't quite the fastest at the end of the day, but he's much improved, I say, from his Melbourne performances, which weren't bad, but they weren't the Strana that we knew from Formula Challenge. I just like to also say congratulations to Bracan and Ruiz and Paolini and Jordan, because they all had fantastic results as well, getting some points on the board for their respective teams. And Boya Milan picks up ST Racing's first points in 14th position, so that means that everyone on the grid, every team in the grid, has scored some points now. Everyone can put themselves on the back.
So just shows how close this field is, really.
Yeah. We've got 14 teams and only 15 points paying positions in each race, so it's a very good effort, and it shows every team has a driver that can score points. Some of them didn't have too good of a race today. I think you'd probably look at the likes of Kanchala, Racing Team Schroten as well.
Arguably Enterprise as well, looking from a double top 10 to 1 point at the end of the day.
Yep, not the race that they were looking for. Certainly in terms of Beresford, it was out of his hands, and it would have been interesting to see where he would have finished, because I think he had some genuine decent pace. He looked
like he could stay up with those top 5 at least.
Absolutely, and he'll be in 20th for race 2, so it's not the question for points. I think Beresford has got it within him to get some points in race 2, but how far he can actually go remains to be seen.
Indeed. So, that was interesting anyway. And race 2, hopefully, will be a little cleaner, but even more interesting. 19 laps around Bahrain. It's one of the longest sprint races on our calendar. And of course, we've got to find out who's going to be on reverse grid pole position. We've got a real mixture of drivers from Ruiz, Bracan, Francic, Lars Brugman, and Dino Paolini. We've got race winners in there. We've got pole sitters in there. We've got people who are brand new to the series in there as well. Honestly, the way that this Super's gone so far, I wouldn't bet on any of them to not win.
Oh no, we're just moving over to the next session. Yes, I think certainly any of them. You'd have to say this year that it probably is a case that if you can get through lap 1 in first position, you've got a good chance, as long as you've got the consistency to keep it on the road and not spin the car out. You've got a good chance of maybe not winning the race, but getting a very good result out of race 2. And I think from what we saw there, you can see that the overtaking is certainly back in Supercup in a lot of ways. We had a lot of overtaking in that race. It was nearly every lap. I think we were discussing an overtaking maneuver, which is what we wanted to see.
Much more like last year.
Yes, exactly. It hasn't lost that Supercup feel, has it? Moving to R-Factor 2,
No.
Still feel like we're in a very action-packed series.
I'm super surprised how close it is as well. Like we were tackling this at the start of the broadcast. I can't believe, if anything, it's even closer than the last couple of years, which is just absolutely astonishing. And you can see why so many people want to test their mettle in this series, because if you even score points here, that is a great achievement.
Yeah, I think if you score points in a Supercup race, we tend to look at drivers and go, yeah, they did a good job today, didn't they? When they've come, 13th or 14th. It's just a case of you not only got to be able to be quick, but you've got to have some kind of racecraft as well to not take everyone out around you or spin yourselves out. Because as soon as you do that once, I think that's very hard to come back. I know we saw the likes of Sven de Vries and Paolini have a couple of spins and then come back to carry on from where they left off effectively. But it is a case that if you lose a big chunk of time, it's very hard to make it back up in this series.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were looking at Beresford and where he would end up at the end of the day, 20th, which actually is not that bad. I think he was within a minute of the leaders. Which, considering all things, considering that he lost a rear wing, really not that bad, and especially with his tyres going off near the end as well. But if you have one spin, then that's... Oh, wow. And, well, I was about to say you'd have a really bad time, but the reverse grid number has just been confirmed as number 9. Lars Brugman's on pole position.
And that is all thanks to the fact that not only did he not get destroyed by Craig Baxter when he went spearing across the side of him, but also the fact that Brugman got the moves in when he needed to and got past both Paolini and Dennis Jordan to claim that 9th spot in the very closing stages of the race. Got a feel
for Paolini, though, the only person not to get reversed.
Absolutely, but everyone knows the drill, and it's what happens sometimes. You've just got to take the look at the numbers. Any number could come out. If we look at stats, then it could be any number. They've all got equal opportunity, but more often than not, it tends to be around the middle set of numbers that get pulled out of the hat. I'm sure someone could be sad enough to actually go back and look to see who it was over the years, and maybe we'll have some better percentages. I'd love it if someone did that, but who knows if they will or not. But 9th position, so there's a top 9 reverse, and it'd be interesting to see if someone like De Vries can come through the field again, because that's nearly where he started in race 1 as well.
Unfortunately, Paolini didn't get the memo that it's a random number between 6 and 10. So he was for a bit there feeling a bit more aggrieved than perhaps he should. But looking at the front 2 rows then, it's going to be Brugman v Francic, which I think is going to be a fascinating lineup. Brugman, championship leader going into this round. Francic, the man who got pole position at Melbourne Park. And then behind them, Maurice Brackham for Fox Racing. He scored a couple of podiums in 2014, missed 2015 completely. And Edgar Ruiz, who qualified second here today, but of course was forced back due to his penalty, had a very good race here today as well, scoring his first points in Supercup. So it's a fascinating first two front rows of the grid, to be honest. And ahead of them, of course, you've got Holm, Muscat, Capit, Strana, De Vries. It is going to be such an exciting race too. And I honestly don't know who to put my money on. It's a good thing I'm not a gambling man.
Certainly no £10 bets on Leicester for you then.
No, absolutely not. Did you see actually that guy actually cashed out at 72,000?
Oh, was it 72,000?
72,000 he cashed out at, yeah.
I think you'd be sitting there, it'd be like sitting on a mattress of money, wouldn't it? And just going, is it going to get nicked or is it not? And you'd feel the likelihood to put it somewhere safe and cash out. I certainly would have cashed out at that kind of money.
I would have cashed. I mean, that is, even if you're on a decent salary, in the UK, of course, we're talking here, that's about 2 years' worth salary, just in the bank there and then.
Absolute tax-free as well.
Tax-free, yeah.
Yep. I'd take that. Unfortunately,
I would take that as well.
No money for me, so I'll continue. I'll continue wishing.
I'm going to bet on Swansea to win the Premier League next year. Anyone's got as good a chance as any.
Maybe not.
I really like it. Oh no!
Probably sacking of the manager.
Well, maybe, I don't know, maybe. Enough about football. This is motorsport, and people will get very angry if we divert for too long anyway. We've got 50 seconds. It's a quick warm-up, actually. 50 seconds until race 2. Looking at the front two rows, Brugman, Francis, Brackham, Ruiz, do you think we'll see our winner from those front two rows? Or do you think the likes of the podium sitters from last time out will come up through the top pack and stake their claim at another race win?
I think it's hard to say, especially from what happened at Melbourne. I think I got it completely wrong at Melbourne. But I think...
You were close. You said Capit last time, and he was second.
Yes, he was, yeah.
Oh, until he was demoted due to a penalty, but that's besides the point.
Yes, it was certainly the case of Beresford just managed to get a good lead out last time and held on to it well. I was very impressed by that. But I think this time around, even though we've got the addition of a very effective DRS here and a long 19 laps as well, I think Lars Brugman can do it once again and take another win in Supercup. And just because he's the kind of guy that can hold on to leading positions, and he hasn't been the quickest today, but that might have been due to damage or the traffic that he's had, and then certainly the spin that he had in race 1, and not the quickest in qualifying either. But when he gets out in front, you see a different Brugman.
Yeah, totally. And remember, Brugman's already picked up a win. That's Lars Brugman, by the way. Brugman's already picked up a win this season, the first win of the season. So he is a race winner. He's got the mentality, plus he's Atlantic Series champion last year. So he's got that mentality, at least, to win races, to control the races. And you know what? I'm going to say that he's going to be the man to take our race 2 win here today. I'm staking my claim on him.
So it's going to be very boring, isn't it, when we both get it wrong, James?
Maybe. It means that people can shoot shots at us then post-race in the broadcast criticism thread on the forums. They can say, "Oh, these people they're talking out of their bums, saying, oh, this guy's going to win,' and then he doesn't win."
I'm sure they'll be saying, "Why didn't they keep the broadcast as it was when we started, so we didn't have to listen to the?"
That's what they sound like, by the way. Yeah. So anyway, everyone's saying good luck to everyone. Have fun, all. I'm really quite positive that we're going to get another clean lap, first lap here today, because that was beautiful. Only seeing 1 or 2 people near the back.
And it wasn't even through turn 1 or 2
But the R
either.
Factor man struts his stuff. No. It was later on at turn 4, I think, which seemed to be causing the most problems for the most drivers. But either way, completely different scenario here today. I would say probably the field is a lot more normal than perhaps it was in race 1. So who knows? Maybe we'll be back to status quo and everyone will be flying in at each other at turn 1. We certainly hope that's not the case. More than any, probably Lars Brugman, who leads us off on pole position for Team Proline. David Francis in his P2, with Maurice Bracan starting P3, dizzying heights for Fox Racing. Edgar Ruiz will start P4 with Adrian Holm P5. Jason Muscat starts P6 with Risto Capit P7. Eric Strana starts P8 with provisional race 1 winner Sven de Vries starting P9. And Dino Paolini, the only man not to get reversed in that reverse grid potential slot. He will start in P10. Dennis Jordan will start P11 with Menno Klomp P12. Niels Brugman P13. Boya Milan will start P14 with Right Tulacast P15. Argenis Riera will start P16 with Danny Asbury P17. Timu Toika will start P18 with Tobias Olsen P19. Scott Beresford will start P20 with Mark Wicks P21. Ari Newman will start P22 with Lewis McGlade P23. And rounding out our grid will be Andrew Waring in P25 and Craig Baxter in P26. Which means that we have lost another driver.
I'm trying to think who went out early in race 1 because I think that's where we've lost our driver.
Who is it? Oh, Router. Marcel Router for Evolution.
Yes. Also, I'm wondering, why is Craig Baxter starting at the very back of the grid?
Yeah, because he was ahead of Aaron, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That's for sure. I don't know. It seems like he had a couple of technical difficulties there as well. But, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows with these things? I mean, it's the same row, technically, isn't it?
I guess so. I'd be up in arms by now. Really.
He's taken my position.
I wouldn't really care. I wouldn't really care because I'm starting from the back anyway, which is usual.
Might be the safest place to be.
Yes. Not the case yesterday, but potentially the case today.
No, certainly not.
And it's really going to be interesting to see what these drivers can do as they come up to the starting grid now. And yeah, I'm looking at the likes of Strana, who didn't... Was it Strana that didn't have a very good start in race 1?
No, it was Muscat.
Muscat, was it? Yes, that's right, Muscat. I knew it was a red and white car in there somewhere. Didn't have a very good start, and it'll be interesting to see what happens because these cars are not the easiest to get off the line.
Baxter retired in race 1, says Chris Williamson. So did Waring. Waring retired before Baxter.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Either way, it is what it is. Stuff has happened, and we hope that more stuff is going to be happening as we have 2, 3, 4, and 5 lights. And here for the second time at the Bahrain International Circuit, we are racing. And it looks like a much better start from Muscat there in the midfield. Oh, contact there already in the midfield. I see a rear wing up in the air. But it's a good start from Lars, most importantly. It's a great start from Maurice Bracan as well, who is passed and up into P2 already. Great start from the Fox driver, home up to P4 as well. Dennis Jordan up to P10. And who is in grief there? I think Danny Asbury's out already. Right Tulacast all the way down to P25. So... a couple of people in strife there already as Sven de Vries gets past Jason Muscat in the midfield into turn 5 and 6. Yep, that is de Vries pass, although all Muscat force out wide. He's back in though. But Lars Brugman leading fine. Bracan P2, Frantic P3, but under all sorts of pressure from Adrian Holm there in P4. Everyone just trying to re-establish their position, trying to find their feet early on in this race. And they're heading on to the back straight now. Brugman and Bracan are moving up nicely behind. It looks like Holm is trying to have a little look on Frantic. Not going to do anything this time around. Capet P6, Strana P7, De Vries 8th, Muscat 9th, and Jordan is P10, but not for long as Menno Klomp forces the issue. Jordan just about holding on around the outside, and yet Jordan is just going to hold on for there. Behind him it's Clonton, Paolini, and look at that, Toika up into P13. A great start from the Finnish driver there for sure. But we're just heading around the final corner now with Lars Brugman. But I tell you what, the start has hardly been unopposed as Bracan is looking good. At the end of lap 1 then, it's Lars Brugman leading from Bracan, Frantic, Holm, Ruiz, Capit, Strana, De Vries, Muscat and Jordan rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, not a good start this time for the field as Frantic looks to the inside of Bracan and gets the position going into turn 1. just an inside pass, and makes the move complete. Bracken's going to try and come back. So Franchich is going to have to go defensive already into turn 4. Of course, no DRS at the moment for these guys, so it's all about who's got the best wings, who's got the best drive out the corner. But Franchich holds on and takes second position. We've seen a lot of contact near the back, and unfortunately Milan, Riera, Tulicus, Waring and Asbury all fell foul to some kind of incident or other at the start, and they'll have to try and recover what they can in this race. But potentially they might all be out of any kind of points paying positions now. One guy who's not is Scott Beresford, who's already made his way up to 16th, so he's in with a shout of some points for Enterprise as well. As it's a little bit of a train at the moment, you'd have to say. Everyone's a bit line astern, one behind the other. They're probably all waiting for the DRS to come active before they start to make their moves now.
As Craig Baxter is retired for the second time this evening, it's not been a good start at all to his Supercup campaign for the Scotsman. But it has been a decent start, at least for David Franchich, who's in second now. Bracken and Holm not too far behind Marith as well. It seems like you say, everyone is in a train really, and no one's able to make a solid move as of yet. Maybe just hoping to get into the string of things rather than going for any hell for leather moves so far. The only move we've really seen is Franchich on Bracken. Although we could see a further move here between the three of them as well. Holm involved as well. Around the outside of turn 1, Bracken will look, but he leaves himself open to Adrian Holm, who's squeezed in between himself and Franchich. And Holm on the outside now. Bracken forces him out wide, and Bracken will hold on for now. Bit elbows out though.
Yeah, he didn't want to give that position away earlier on in the race. As Niels Brugman's gone off and he's hit the wall.
That was Beresford. He knocked him round.
And yeah, he's done a bit of a De Vries there, but he's actually slowed down and wasted up and let Niels take his position back. But that's actually promoted Lewis McGlade into the points now, so not a good race for him in race 1. I don't know what happened, but he's suddenly found himself in the points, and I'm sure he'll be very chuffed about that at this moment in time. But look at this train behind. Probably Maurice Bracken is really where it starts. It's quite a long train of cars, and I think as soon as DRS becomes enabled, which I guess is at the end of this lap, we could see some fireworks.
Well, Niels Brugman's off again. I think he might have got rid of fuse damage. Rejoins haphazardly into Mark Fuller as Bracken is off the track and Holm is through. And could Ruiz capitalise on this as well around the outside of turn 12? Don't see many moves there, but Ruiz has made it stick, and Bracken is losing positions. Hand over fist now, or I don't even know sayings, never mind. But he's down to P5 nevertheless, and under all sorts of pressure from Risto Capit now. Great start from Bracken, but could this be where the tale unravels for our German friend?
Yeah, just a little bit of a mistake earlier on, and he's going to have to probably go defensive now to Capit, because Capit is looking to the inside down the pit straight. He's actually had to pull back in. We saw in race 1 that Capit didn't have the best of wings, and I think it's the case again, but this time he at least looks to the inside but can't quite outbrake Bracken, actually touches him. De Vries gets into the back of Capit as well. It's a bit of a stack up there, a bit messy, but they've all managed to get themselves sorted out and retain their own positions as Strana looks to the back of De Vries as well. So this is certainly a train developing behind Ruiz. You actually have to say now as the top 3 have broken away.
And no more broken away than Lars Brugman, who's now 2 seconds clear of Franchich, who is doing well there, but Holm is in pretty close pursuit as Niels Brugman has left the race. So that contact between him and Beresford might have proved fatal, despite how little it actually was. And it seemed like he just had no traction at all, and so Niels Brugman becomes our 3rd retirement already on lap 4 of 19. Looking back to P6 though, Risto Capit under a lot of pressure here from Sven De Vries, the American. He'll be looking up the inside of turn 11. He's smarter than that, though. He's not going to force the issue just yet unless he's fully alongside. But Capit not seeming to have the pace which we were promised from qualifying. Definitely through race 1 where he fell back a bit. And certainly not in race 2 here where the dirty air seems to be affecting the Estonian a bit too much.
Absolutely. It's I think it's just the case his wings, he's just perhaps running a little bit too much downforce, and it's just not giving him that edge. Down the straights is Holm now. It's all over the back of Franchich, and I won't be surprised to see him make a move into turn 1 as they go down the pit straight. And Franchich knows what's going on. He's already gone to the defensive position, And Holm has gone to his outside, and the move has been well and truly done before we even get to the braking zone. But Holm actually runs a bit wide there, and that's going to give Francic a chance to get a better line through turn 2 and gain some momentum. But in the end, actually, Holm has just retained a decent gap between the two, and he's going to hold on to that second position. So good effort by Holm.
Further behind, Ruiz is just about holding on to P4. Bracan is not giving this up. And Capit de Vries is raging on behind as well. You got Strana in there, P8 as well, as Waring has retired from the race. He becomes our 4th retirement of the day. Danny P23. But let's see, you got Strana in there, Muscat as well. Jordan still in the top 10, Clont 11th, Paolini 12th as well on the back. Then you got Olsen versus Toyka versus McGlade for the bottom of the points. And Scott Beresford now recovering from P16 after hitting Niels Brugman. He might still be in with a chance of points, but he's got about 3 seconds to make up overall. Probably worth going back to Rissa Capit and Sven de Vries. I think this is the closest battle for sure. De Vries just not able to find a good spot to overtake the Estonian, though. Neither does it look like he's got the overall pace at this point in time. Lap 5 of 19, about a quarter of the way through this race.
Yes, it's certainly moving on at a rate of quite a few laps passing already. Just seeing if anyone is going to make a move through the field. Again, such a long train behind Bracken and Ruiz as well, actually, from 4th onwards to about Paolini in 12th. They're all fairly nose to tail as Capit now is going to look at the back of Bracan as Francic at the same time is looking up the inside of Holm for second position, and it's very tight between the two, but that sorts itself out. Capit though gets past Bracan in turn 1 and moves up into 5th position, so the wings didn't hinder him too much this time.
He's sniffing over tails far too much. He thinks he can get closer than he actually can. And thankfully, in this occasion, Bracan was able to stay safe from the menacing front wing there. He's more like a cow catcher over the past 2 races for sure. Eric Strana has been brought back into this race, though, or this battle, I should say, because of that. And look at Muscat and Jordan and Clont and Paolini as well. That one little mistake from De Vries once again has reeled all of these guys back into a battle for the top 10.
It certainly has, and they're all there. Clont didn't have the best of racing in race 1. A little bit of a quiet one, didn't really see too much of him, but he's certainly there sniffing, at least looking at Dennis Jordan, but probably a bit too far back. But De Vries, you'd have to say he's going to be the guy that's going to try and make a move next in this train of cars. I think he's wanting to get past Bracan pretty quickly. He's already 6 seconds behind the leaders, and he'll want to try and have a clean race this race, but go for another win, I'm sure. But it might be too far away, and Brugman's really holding a good advantage out front as we come down to turn 14. De Vries is looking up the inside. Is he going to try here into turn 14? Not many people have, and De Vries does it, so he gets...
Oh, Bracan! And he's caught Strana in that as well. In fact, it looked like Strana broke Bracan's tank slapper there. So after all of that, Muscat's up to 7th, Jordan up to 8th, Colin up to 9th, Bracan down to 10th, no doubt with some side pod damage though. Paolini 11th and Strana, the innocent party, all the way down to P12 as Paolini looks on the inside of Bracan, unable to do anything just yet.
Yeah, it's disappointing for Strana. It was basically, there was nothing he could have done there, and he's lost all the positions, but now he's going to try and make at least one of them up straight away. He's gone to the inside of Paolini into turn 4. But he's realised that he's probably not going to get the move done and just backs out of it there. So unfortunate for Strana, and that's not going to help his push for the championship in these early stages of the season. It's probably a bit too early to talk about that anyway. But of course, points count, and consistency is what's going to be key this season, I feel, in what's looking like a very difficult race too in terms of getting through the field and getting up to a leader. Brugman's done a very good job so far with a 2.3 second lead, and he's looking very solid out front at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. 2.3 seconds the gap now from Adrian Holm, who's ahead of Francic. Edgar Ruiz just about keeping touch, but he's got Capit and De Vries behind more to worry about. Then it's the big train. Muscat, Jordan, Clont, Bracan, Paolini and Strana. And then you got another small train here of Olsen, who's actually broken away a bit from Toyka and McGlade, and these two have got to be careful because Scott Beresford is now closing in on them. He's been closing in by a few tenths over the last couple of laps, so we could have a couple of battles to develop. But really, the one that we need to keep an eye on is P8, Dennis Jordan and Menno Clont, and it looks like Menno Clont is wanting to join his teammate in P7 now. I noticed Dino Paolini behind as well, having a move on Maurice Bracan. Paolini is passed, Clont is passed on the straight. Will they be able to maintain the moves into turn 1? Dennis Jordan breaks late, but not as late as Clont, who, wow, manages to hold it around the outside. Great move from Clont. Bracan able to hold on from Olsen, though. And further behind, Lewis McGlade has overtaken Team Toyka for P14 and P15. So a slew of moves there into turn 1.
Lots of action all over the base. It's great to see, but I'm really surprised that Bracan's falling back like this. I felt he was quite a strong driver in race 1. But for whatever reason, he doesn't seem to have the pace here in race 2, and maybe he's just saving his tyres a little bit. I don't know. I surely wouldn't be falling that far back with a strategy like that. So I don't know. Maybe he's got damage, but it's certainly not looking like a good race for him.
As it looks like Paolini and Strana may have had a coming together, because Strana, let's have a look. Oh no, it was just a poor turn 8 for Paolini, and Strana capitalised around the outside of turn 9 there. So Strana back up into P11.
Yep, so he starts his march back through the field for Strana. We'll see if he can do any more than that. And it's starting to spread out a little bit in terms of that huge train. And Ruiz is still holding on to 4th and actually not really under much of a threat from Capit, as De Vries is now onto the back of Capit. You just feel that De Vries is... Whoa, as Capit just gets loose coming out of turn 14, the final corner, but doesn't lose too much momentum. You just feel that De Vries has got the pace to really get past these guys, but it is a case of how long it takes to pass each of the drivers that is determining where De Vries might finish in this race.
You're going to have to keep on commentating, mate, because it's decided to kick me out of the server.
I've had that problem. I had that problem last time out. Actually, it just seems to be one of these things that happens. So hopefully that doesn't happen to me in the next month or two. As just looking through the field, Lars Brugman leads by 2.5 seconds now. So the lead has actually increased between first and second, Brugman and Holm. Francic is still on the tail of Brugman, but not really doing anything, as Capit looks to the outside of Ruiz at turn 8, and oh, he's got a bit loose and nearly lost it, and that's allowed De Vries to get past Ruiz as well, and De Vries is going to look to the inside of Capit into turn 10, and there we go, he's got the move done. So De Vries is up into 4th place now. He's actually going to have to defend here because there's DRS down straight towards turn 11. Capit's going to go to the outside. We haven't really seen anyone passing turn 11 either today. So Capit's going to have to do it around the outside. It's close between the two. A little bit of contact. Just a slight brush of the wheels as they came through the apex of the corner. But De Vries has held on to his 4th position that he's kind of inherited in a way from all the melee that was going on. But look at that through turn 13. He took way too much curb there on the inside of the corner. And that cost him a whole bunch of time. And Capit's actually gone to the outside and got the position back into the final corner of the lap, and so Capit's back into 4th himself, and De Vries is looking like he might come under attack from Ruiz down the main straight as Ruiz goes to the inside, and De Vries nearly goes to the inside of Capit as well, so it's going to be 3 wide into turn 1, and Ruiz backs out of it. So De Vries has actually gone to the inside of Capit, and he's got the move done just about. He had to squeeze Capit a little bit through turn 2, but just held on to it. So De Vries into 4th. We'll see if he can hold on to this now into turn 4. And yes, just about.
Further back, Scott Beresford is into the points, but for how long is going to be another question. He tried to take Toyka and McGlade into turn 1, didn't come off. And now McGlade's going to look around the outside of turn 4, not going to be able to do it though. So Beresford is into the points, provisionally at least. But going back to this battle then between Capit, De Vries. Well, I think Capit and De Vries have started to pull away now. It's all about Ruiz. He's falling back like a plum in water, and it looks like Muscat's all over the back of him. The other mortar force of Jason Muscat there as well. Of Menno Clont, sorry. Dennis Jordan in there as well. So Ruiz, all of a sudden, his pace has just plummeted.
Yeah, it was like this a little bit in race 1 as well, wasn't he? He struggled in the first part of the race, but then came good after the pit stops. Unfortunately, he's not going to have a pit stop in the second part of this race to recover any of that, so maybe he just comes good later on in a run. I'm not really too sure. It's too early to tell, but Muscat's just going to hold on behind him, and Clont as well. I've noticed that the cars really like to get loose coming out of corners, so it definitely seems to be a bit of an issue with power application this year, just being able to hold the car as you put your foot down, and that's a very easy thing to do, is spin out by lighting up the rear tyres.
Muscat around the outside here on the home straight of Edgar Ruiz, and braking late into turn 1. It looks like Ruiz was the later braker, and a little bit of a tank slapper there from Ruiz. I think there was a bit of contact there with Muscat, but he maintains P7 as Eric Strana gets past Maurice Bracan into P10.
Yes, and I was seeing there whether Muscat was going to have another look at Ruiz, but that's certainly not the case. The two Multiforce drivers are really hounding Ruiz now, and you just feel it might be a matter of time before one of them makes a move. And Dennis Jordan's there as well, so another strong showing by Jordan, again solidly within the top 10 at this stage of the race anyway, and I think he's just being a bit patient and seeing what he can do in the future.
Yeah, for sure. I've been very impressed with Jordan, actually. He's proven that consistency does win you points, and it does ultimately win you positions as well, and he's only improving his credibility as a driver in the Supercup field. Dennis, as Strana comes in behind with Bracan and Paolini in close pursuit. Then you've got Olsen all on his own in P13. Before we've got Toyka and Beresford battling it out for the final points-paying positions.
But something happened to McGlade then, didn't it?
McGlade's just fallen away, I think. He's not too far behind, it's just pace-wise he's falling back.
Okay.
Yeah, he's struggling on that. He came out the turn 13 with 0 traction, adjusting his pace.
Okay, that's a shame for... I guess that's a shame for McGlade then, really, as I was watching Strana as well.
Yeah.
I really think Strana's struggling with a bit of damage here, because he certainly doesn't look like he's on the pace that he was, and Bracken's actually really retaken the position into turn 1. So again, Strana drops out the top 10, lights up the rear tyres himself, and yeah, certainly a bit of a struggle here in race 2.
And so Scott Beresford gets past Team Toyka into turn 1 as well, in a very popular overtaking corner of choice turn 1. And it's good to see, despite its hairpin nature, that people are getting the moves done relatively cleanly, actually.
Yeah, we haven't actually seen too much. It's been more about turn 4 today, hasn't it?
Yeah.
The naughty corner,
the main
as you
offender.
might call it.
Yeah. That's brilliant. I love that. We'll use it from now on, and specifically about turn 4 as well. Going back up though to P6, Ruiz holding up from Muscat, Klon, Jordan. People are close, yet not close enough, it seems. In fact, it looks like Bracan and Strana is closer, and I do wonder if what you say about Strana, or what you think about Strana, is true. He's not really showing the same pace as our Genus Riera retires from the race, but yeah, he's not really showing the same sort of pace as he was in race 1, quite clearly. He's unable to really even make a solid move on Bracan without the German staying with him.
Yeah, again, we see him pulling out here, but he's just not quite close enough to Bracan coming into the final corner, turn 14 on this track. And I'm just surprised that someone who can be... He definitely wasn't the quickest in race 1, we could see that, but he had the pace to be up there. But then again, at the same time, as Strana now actually makes the move into turn 1 and gets it complete, so really the DRS is definitely helping drivers out here to retake the positions that they've lost, as we see these two continue to switch. That Brugman, who's leading right now, Lars Brugman, he was doing a little bit better than Strana was in race 1, and then fell back, of course, because of some altercations that occurred. But himself as well, he wasn't really, cutting his way through the field, and perhaps it is still a case that it's a little bit difficult to get past people, which is fair enough. It's understandable. We don't want to make it easy for people to just pass everyone, do we? And
of course,
it certainly shows that qualifying and track position are going to be very, very important this season.
Heading back up to P6, Jason Muscat has reinforced his assault on Edgar Ruiz. He's dropped his teammate Menoclons, or maybe Menoclons chosen to hold back to maybe act as rear gunner for a little bit while Jason focuses on P6. You can see Risto Capit very close as well though, Jason, so his shot of a top 5 is certainly not out of the question. What is questionable is whether he can actually make a move stick on Edgar Ruiz, because he's been a strong customer of the Spaniard so far this race. And Jason Muscat only fell back from the podium positions in race 1.
Yes, absolutely. I'm just wondering what's going on here, because I feel like we've kind of calmed down, haven't we, James? It's everyone's kind of it's hard
Being
to say.
sensible.
Yeah, being sensible. You could say that. There's certainly no dive bombs, which is good. We don't want to see them. But it's just the case that everyone's kind of holding station. There's nothing really to wait for. But no one seems to be able to really just find that extra bit of an edge to attack and overtake someone.
I think Capet's under a lot of problems here, because Edgar Ruiz was able to hold off Jason Muscat throughout the entirety of that straight. So he's got some very low wings as Jason Muscat outbrakes himself into turn 4 there, just about able to wrap it all up again. But I tell you what, Edgar Ruiz, I think, is starting to catch Risto Capet, because that straight line speed is proving very helpful.
Yeah, and I think really that's just ensuring that Ruiz can't get overtaken, because he gets a DRS, and so the guy behind him with DRS can't overtake him. So it's certainly been a help for Ruiz, and perhaps we're starting to see the Ruiz that we saw in race 2, where he suddenly turned it on in the middle part of the race.
Race 1, you mean?
Sorry?
Race 1, you mean?
Oh yeah, whatever. It's getting too late now. I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
Nobody does. That's why we're commentating, Sam. to try and force words out of ourselves. But look at that. He's really catching Capet, you know? He really is. I'm looking at Clonton Jordan as well, getting pretty close. But let's see. I'm pretty sure that Edgar Ruiz will have the DRS option here down the home straight. We'll see whether he can't catch up on Capet. Just looking into turn 14 as well there. It's in the... Oh! He was braking later, but that little tank slapper on the outside of turn 15 has really put an end to any possible assault this time around. Yeah, the DRS certainly in effect there. That said, he's running out of laps. It's lap 15 of 19 now is behind Dennis Jordan. Is going on Menno Clontier, and Jordan is passing up into P8. Very solid drive here from the German once again.
I think Jordan's just decided, right, I've had enough. I'm going to do something now, but Klont's coming back at him into turn 4. We've seen it so many times, and Klont's got the inside. He's going to brake, but he's probably going to run a little bit wide, so Jordan might get a good exit out of the corner towards turn 5 and 6. It's so narrow through here, but they both just managed to hold on. I think Jordan thought better of it.
That's sensible from Jordan. Yes. Really sensible. Kept his nose clean.
Absolutely. I think he's been very sensible so far this race, and just had a moment where he thought, yeah, I can do something here. I'm going to go for an overtake, and fair play to him. He had a go and had it for a little bit of a time, as Ruiz is looking a bit erratic coming out of turn 10 as well, and taking a strange line through there, but somehow just holds it together and just kind of carries on from where he left off.
Yeah, just about holding on here. Jason Muscat very clear of Menno Clont now, who's got Dennis Jordan all up in his rear view mirrors. So actually, Jordan must have lost position to Clont again. Somewhere through that. I'm guessing it must have been a mistake. Oh yeah, of course it was turn 4. Never mind me. I'm being silly.
A bit late in the day, isn't it, James?
It's getting to that time, isn't it? It should be my bedtime soon. But looking at Dennis Jordan here, looking very close once again, and with DRS in effect, and certainly with a mistake like that on the exit at turn 15 for Clont, this should be the Ducks' dinner for Dennis Jordan as he moves down on the inside. DRS fully in effect, straight past on the straight. And into turn 1, unless Clont can pull off a miraculous bit of braking. Dennis Jordan is into P8 behind as well, actually. I noticed that Scott Beresford has moved up into P13 past Tobias Olsen as well. So the Englishman moving his way through the field nicely, though I don't think he's going to be moving any further, because the next man down the road is Dino Paolini, who's 5 seconds ahead.
It's not a million miles away. It's probably is actually running out of laps, a little bit, isn't he? Now Beresford, but these guys are squabbling, and they're not making it easy for themselves, so we'll see if he can at least get close towards the end of the race, as Muscat now looking on Ruiz going into turns 9 and 10, but that's not really an overtaking manoeuvre. It's we've seen it done in the past, but I don't think we've really seen it today. It's a very difficult place to brake more than anything, so to throw a car down the inside there is...
Oh, Muscat around the outside! That was a bit dodgy there. I would have... I tell you what, he's actually gotten away with it, Muscat, but I would never risk it down the outside of turn 10 there, up into... Sorry, turn 11, up down to turn 13 right now. Muscat's very eager to get this move done. He's just got to keep a cool head. He's clearly got the pace advantage, that's for sure.
Yeah, I actually thought he was going to make a move there into turn 13, but thought better of it. I guess he feels that he can get the move into turn 1 as I think Reeve again, just it's quite confusing that coming out of turn 14 and 15, it really looks like drivers are getting loose, but somehow just holding on to it and keeping the momentum up down the straight, because you don't want to lose too much time there, and he's actually done alright. It's behind him that potentially it could be a move for Paolini on Bracan for P11 into turn 1, and Paolini lights up the tyres. I think there might have been a little bit of contact between the two drivers there as well, and he's had to bail out of it a little bit, but again regrouped, and now he's on the inside again for turn 4. So this time around he goes up the inside and he's going to try and make it
misses the corner.
Yeah, he's run wide there, hasn't he? And Bracan's got the switch back again.
It was very close between Bracan and Paolini. Actually, as Bracan cut back, and they do have to be a little careful because Beresford is starting to reel him in. I know it's only a couple of laps until the end now, but they've got to be careful and make sure that they don't catch each other up, really, because otherwise Beresford will be in the hunt for more points. As we look back to Ruiz and Muscat once again, which is very close, and Muscat right in the slipstream. He's going to try to the outside of turn 11 again. He's going to brake late. He's going to go around the outside fully, and this time he does make it stick. Wonderful move from Jason Muscat.
Yeah, that's quite incredible. He's done it 2 times in 2 laps, and this time he made it stick. Wow.
How close did they come?
I thought Ruiz was going to go into the back of him there, but somehow just kept the car under control in the braking zone, which was vitally important. And now Muscat is finally released, but look how far Capit's actually got away after these two have battled. So I think Muscat will be a bit of a struggle to gain any more positions and get into the top 5 here today.
Yeah, going down the back straight here, it seems that Muscat has gotten the advantage now. As behind, here comes Menno Clont on Dennis Jordan once again, and looking at this, it looks like Menno Clont is going to get past Dennis Jordan again. Indeed, he does. Although there's a bit of contact there between the two, but Menno up into P8. And look at Strana here as well, looking to improve his position as well. Lap 18 and 19 here, so this is the penultimate lap. Bracan and Paolini also fighting it away behind, up into turn 4. Clont holds on, Jordan holds on, but for Bracan and Paolini, it's very close to 2. They're going side by side on exit, and Paolini's really forcing the issue here around the outside of turn 5 and turn 6. Ever so close between the two. Bracan just about holding on, and this is just forcing Paolini back into the hands of Beresford.
Absolutely. Beresford is 2.5 seconds probably down the road now, so he's got a lap and a half really to make any more kind of ground on these guys, but it's certainly possible. If he gets in the DRS, he could certainly benefit from it as well, as I think ahead of them as well, it looks like Des Jordan's just holding off Strana at the moment for that 9th position. Again, Jordan just fighting at the very kind of top end, or the very bottom end, I guess, of the top 10 in the final closing stages of the race, and we'll see if he can hold on to it this time around.
Sure, heading down, our leader Lars Brugman is already on the final lap. We haven't talked about him much just because there's been nothing to talk about with him. He's led from pole position and he's looking to take his 2nd win of the year already. And that's looking good for me and Sam as well, as we both predicted him to win. But certainly the battle which we're interested in currently is Jordan versus Clont. And Jordan looking for a final move here. He goes to the even more inside of Clont after Clont went defensive already into turn 1. Jordan goes, he brakes late, he goes a little deep, but he's got it done once again. Back up into P8, now it's up to Clont to try and respond. And look how defensive Jordan is going already. He's gone right to the inside of that tarmac area, and Clont is going to have to go around the outside of turn 4, the long way around. He's making it stick though, and he's made it stick. A lovely rebuttal from Menno Clont, who retakes P8.
That was a really good effort by Clont. I thought Jordan might be able to hold on to it this time, but unfortunately not, and he could lose another position because, again, Strana is all over the back of him. This is a great freeway scrap, and I think Strana's just waiting for an opportunity in this final lap. I think Jordan will struggle now to find another place to attack Clont once again. Turn 4 was definitely his best opportunity to hold on to it, and unfortunately he didn't quite do it, and Strana's just poking his nose out, making him aware that he's there. But still, he can't quite get the move done. And we'll have to see what happens in the final few corners. Yeah,
just going to have to focus here on the leader now. He's just coming around the final couple of corners. And from reverse grid pole position, Lars Brugman most likely will retake the lead of the championship. He takes his second race win of the year. First race win here at Bahrain, though. Adrian Holm, another impressive showing. P2 for the Swede. David Francic takes P3 with Sven de Vries P4. Risto Kappa takes P5. An impressive day for a Street Fighter. Jason Muscat P6 with Edgar Ruiz P7. Menno Klont holds on to P8 with Dennis Jordan P9 and Eric Strana rounding out the top 10. Rakan P11 with Paolini P12. Beresford a good recovery drive up to P13. Tobias Olsen will take on P14, and Teemu Toika will ensure that Racing Team Schroten do get a point here today.
Oh.
Will he? No, he doesn't! He ran out of fuel at the final moment, and Lewis McGlade steals the point away from him. I noticed actually that who is at some Malta force, and I think Sven de Vries there, his rear wing, is involved, and I think who is that? Is that Menno Klont? There might be a bit of... Sven de Vries was just stopped in the middle of the track, and Menno Klont just ran into the back of him, so that is surely going to be some post-race reports going in for those two as well for, what's it called, this undisciplinary post-race actions or whatever. But what a shame for Teemu Toika. They're clearly running out of fuel, and Lewis McGlade steals a final point by 0.05 of a second.
That is, wow, I did not see that coming at the end, but yeah, that's a shame for Racing Team Schroten, because that was the only point they were going to get for today, and instead it's gone to Kajala, and that's going to be all the difference down at the bottom of the table, where you've really got the likes of Kajala and Schroten and ST battling for some of the lower paying positions of the championship at this current time, of course. But Lars Brugman, I just have to say that he has done a fantastic job here today, and taking what was a very commanding victory. I don't want to say easy, because it's never easy to win a race, but he was out there by himself from start to finish and never really looked troubled by anyone else behind him. So he had the pace and he had the measure of the field, and it was an impressive sight to see. And looking at his lap times as well, absolutely incredible amount of consistency between laps 4 and the final lap of the race. He basically did between a 40.4 and a 40.8, though 0.4 of a second difference between all of his lap times. That is the sign of someone who's done their homework and can get around a track in such a consistent way, and that is why he wasn't troubled here today for the win. De Vries did good as well to pick up 4th out of his starting position. I probably also have to say that Klont and Jordan did well again. Another side results for both of them. Paolini alright in 12th. Beresford a good recovery from his 20th position starting slot. Olsen managing to get some points after a difficult race 1, and finally Lewis McGlade as well, getting a point out of nowhere right at the death for Kajala.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got plenty of people who have come in for a chat, and so we're going to bring them in for a chat. It's lovely. In fact, we have the entire 2 podiums ready to speak, which I think is probably the first time that this has ever happened in a Supercup broadcast. So let us go from race 1's provisional winner, at least, Sven de Vries. So, Sven, it was painfully obvious to the rest of the field that you had some serious pace around this circuit. So much so that you came back from 2 spins, effectively, 2 bad moments, to end up winning the race. At least provisionally. Oh, sorry, knocked my mic there. So we think. The big cloud over that race 1 win, though, appears to be a bit of a contact with Scott Beresford. What was your point of view on that one?
Yeah, that was obviously quite unfortunate for both of us. I felt like I drove the best race of my career probably, and regardless whether I get to keep that win or not, it's gonna feel bad for having that incident, because it's definitely not intentional. Scott and I did talk after the race, talked it out. He told me he's not gonna protest it. He knows I'm a fair driver. It was an accident. You know, bad things happen. Unfortunately, that's racing too. Other than I was surprised by my pace too. I quite honestly hadn't even practiced with full fuel until the warm up, and noticed I was doing very quick lap times. So I had good hopes for the race. Was kind of aiming for a podium maybe, considering I had to come from 10th. But yeah, considering I spun twice, destroyed my tires, came back, and then take the win in the last lap was awesome. It was great. So yeah, very pleased with that.
Yeah, it was a really, really nice battle between the two of you, and ultimately you came home with a strong position in race 2 as well. So, do you think that you've properly established yourself now as a title contender once again? Because it was a bit of an underwhelming Melbourne. I mean, it was no means bad. You got a podium there at the end of the day. You got a fourth, but there was no real sure signs that you were going to be at the sharp end this year. Has today put to bed those conspiracies?
I think I was always, having a shot at the championship. Quite honestly, in Melbourne, I was together with Lars. We were definitely the faster guys, but a bad pit stop in race 1 and the dirty air in both races just prevented me from doing anything. Saying that, I'm definitely thumbs up to the GPVWC administration for changing that dirty air. I mean, racing today was like racing back in 2014 and 2015, and just having awesome battles all over the place, just as I like him. So, I'm very pleased to see that, and I'm thoroughly enjoying the races in these cars.
Good. It's great to hear. Positive signs all around then. I think we'll move on to the man who you battled, of course, towards that victory with, in Eric Strana. And it must be said, Eric, it was a bit of a disappointing Melbourne for you, but you've come back even stronger this time around. It seems that you've finally gotten the hang of the Formula Renault 3.5 cars.
I wouldn't say got the hang of them.
No.
I'm still not a very big fan of them, as I've been very vocal about. No, my problem is that I have the pace for sectors, but I just can't get a lap together. I mean, qualifying, I probably should have ended up top 5 instead. I was 14th because I couldn't get a lap together. So, I'm still not a very big fan of them. I can't quite get them to work like I want them to. It's a bit too unpredictable and stuff for me. So, but I mean, qualifying 14th effectively and finishing second isn't anything about.
It's not bad at the end of the day. And of course, I think one of the great things about bringing new tracks to the calendar is it allows perhaps those new people to the series, I should say, or those people who aren't too familiar with the car or liking the car, in fact, to maybe have a bigger shot to things. And of course, we go to Sochi next time out. From early impressions, does it look like a track that you'll gel well with? And do you think you can push for maybe one step further than a podium?
I'm going to try. I have no idea what I'm going to end up being able to do because I've never driven it, as most people, I assume. But I'm not really sure. We'll have to wait for 2 weeks and see until I know what kind of raven I'm going to be. I've got no clue.
The safe answer. Well, anyway, cheers, Eric, and congratulations on your wonderful results. And then rounding up with the third placed man out of that race, Risto Capit. And Risto, sorry. You were one of the people who were not only affected by a back of the grid penalty, but also a penalty from race 2 in Melbourne, meaning that you lost your podium there. So this is your first podium of the season. A solid result in race 2 as well. Ultimately, a very strong and solid start to your Supercup campaign.
Maybe solid for the team points. That's good, but no, I'm underwhelmed by how much better Sven was today. Not only was he faster everywhere, but he out-battled me anywhere. In race 1, I think I only made one overtake towards the end on Jason, but otherwise I was just getting overtaken and out-raced and had no confidence. And I had some pace in practice, but nothing again in the race. So it was great racing and fun, but yeah, not good.
Not good. So are you once again aiming for victory in Russia, or do you think it's time to temper those expectations and maybe just focus on bringing in those points finishes?
No, I really want to win. Anything else is in the other race can be fine, but I just need the race win. Plus with this point system, the win gives you a lot of points. So I really want to win before I leave this place, but it's indeed harder than I thought. Before every race, I have really high expectations, but they get thrown away.
Fascinating. I think it really does speak volumes about how much the field has improved, even in between years. And I think that I'm pretty safe in saying that this is perhaps the strongest Super Cup field that we've ever had. And, well, Risto Capit obviously finding it a bit of trouble. We'll see where you are next or in a couple of weeks, though.
Thanks. Maybe better, but let's see.
Maybe better. We will have to wait and see for sure. Moving on then to who I believe is our championship leader coming out of Bahrain as well, and of course race 2 winner Lars Brugman. Not the best of race 1s, must be said, got into a bit of trouble with Adrian Holm in particular, I remember, but it ultimately worked in your favour very well, didn't it?
Yeah, I really messed up in race 1. I completely misjudged my overtake on Adrian, so I took both of us out. But it gave me the reverse grid pole, so that was alright. And yeah, I could take the win in race 2. But race 1 really puts quite a sad flavor on the whole event.
It must be difficult actually, because as much as you were championship leader coming in and coming out, and as much as you've already won a championship here at GPV, do those sorts of coming togethers with Adrian really have a bad effect on you? Like, is it really difficult to try and get back into the groove, or any groove, as a matter of fact? You know, whether or not you were at fault or not.
Well, I think I was at fault, but that's for the disciplinary committee to decide, I guess. But yeah, it's when you've had an accident like that and you think it's your fault, it's difficult to get back into the rhythm. But eventually you do find it, and then you get back into the race, because you can't keep thinking about it. That doesn't work. You just have to keep going, make the best of it.
And there you go. I think that's actually sound advice to anybody who's looking to do sim racing and is interested on making mistakes like that. But anyway, I think it's actually very fair of you, Lars, to even admit that it was probably your fault. We'll certainly see how it all pans out after everything is said and done. But for now, congratulations on your race win. Well deserved.
Thank you very much.
And actually moving on to the person who you had that little clattering with, Adrian Holm. Another very strong event for you. I know that Danny Asbury on the other side of the garage hasn't exactly had the best of times in Supercup, but surely even you must be surprised about how well you're doing this year. I mean, you're right up there in the championship hunt.
Yeah, it's going pretty well. Found myself immediately at home in both their game and the car. Never driven either before the first time, like a week before Albert Park when I went out, but yeah, it's been going great.
I must ask, actually, how different a mentality do you have to have when driving these sorts of Formula cars? Because, of course, many of the viewers at home will probably know you as a once upon a time ITC champion. You know, you've mainly specialised in tin tops over R Factor 1. And so open wheelers in R Factor 2 seems like a completely new field, and yet, you know, you've transitioned over just as well. What do you think's been your secret in the transition?
Well, it's for sure has been a secret, because before I started racing tin tops, I've actually raced open wheelers for quite a lot of years. So I've actually done more racing in open wheelers than tin tops. So yeah, I think that has a big effect. But I've always been a very conservative tin top driver as well. So never always going for a move and just trying to find the best opportunity to pounce and just make it stick. And yeah, that's always been my mentality.
It's led to your benefit there. It's led to your benefit here, of course. What do you think are the limits this year? Are there any limits? Do you think that you might actually have a genuine chance of taking the driver's title in your first year?
No, I don't think so, because I will eventually miss a few rounds, I think, due to work. But, you know, been fifth in both the main races, and and in the second race at Albert Park, I was third and now second. So if I'm fifth at Sochi, all bets are off, boys.
All bets are off indeed. Well done on repeating your results then from Albert Park, and we will certainly hope to see whether you can continue on that good form, Adrian. And we'll round up then these complete interviews with David Francic, who took yet another podium in his campaign, third place in race 2. Decent result, top 10 in race 1. Ultimately, just continuing the good form that Street Fighter has shown in the first 2 rounds here, David. Well, that's I don't think your mic is working, David. I think
Quack, quack.
it's like a duck. Yeah, so I'm sorry, David. I think that your mic's a little broken, so we're probably going to have to wrap it up there. Unfortunately, either way, I think it's wonderful results for David, regardless. Looking very strong this year, and yes, it's a shame we didn't get his it's a shame we didn't get his views. But when your mic's sounding, oh yeah, you're there now. Perfect, great. Yeah, great. Okay. Good day at the office
Sorry
overall
for
then.
that.
That's fine.
Yeah, this was more like just grabbing the most of the points it was possible. The race 2 was just I was just playing it safe because I saw I didn't have a good enough pace to keep with front guys, and Sven de Vries especially was catching me. So it was really tough race 2. And the race 1 was really unfortunate because Niels took me out. But yeah.
Well, stuff happens. Ultimately going into Sochi, just straight back on the bounce, hoping to get maybe your first race win of the campaign.
Sure, I'll try my best.
I think Risto's out for it as well, so it's going to be a good battle for sure. And we, well, congratulations anyway, and we certainly hope that all of you out there are here to see it with us. We've got, though, plenty of action at the league. We're really ramping up now in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned. Same time tomorrow, Bahrain Grand Prix. Should be a very exciting affair. Lots of back of the grid penalties as well, so it should be a very mixed-up grid. And then next week, we have our R-Factor series. We do have one of those still. The Vintage series is on Tuesday. We might or may not have a broadcast. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But do be sure to check the forum and the Facebook page and everything to see whether there is one. Wednesday, definitely going to be a broadcast for this. The World Sports Series is back. First round at Sochi Autodrome. Going to be very interesting to see how everyone adapts to not only the new Flat 6 car, which is an upgrade from last year, of course, but the new track as well. And then be sure to join us in 2 weeks' time, where we're at Sochi Autodrome once again, but this time with the Career Ladder, Open Series and Formula Challenge on the Tuesday, and Supercup once again on the Wednesday. So I think I'm going to take these final moments then to thank all of our interviewees for coming in, to thank Ben Willis for being on the cameras once again, excellent work. Thank you to Sam Jones for filling in whenever I had connection issues, and for being a wonderful person overall. I've been James Kirk, and from all of us here, it's a very warm goodbye.